That's why. Thank you. It's so funny. I have a Hacktoberfest. Heck yeah. Yeah, it's so funny. I have this. I've got this mic, and there have been a couple of times the past couple of days where I've forgotten to move this over. So this was sitting, way over here. So of course you can't hear me. But there we go. All right. Welcome, welcome, Michael. Thank you so much for the raid. I really enjoyed your stream this morning. It was a lot of fun. It's kind of funny. I've had one of those days where I kind of woke up on the wrong side of the bed, just like a little out of it, headache, tired, but I still want to stream, still want to have a good time. Michael, thank you so much for the raid. I had a really good time hanging out your stream, learned a lot. I'm definitely really excited about things like Go Crazy. It sounds like we're going to work on some pretty cool projects together, so I'm pretty excited. Welcome. Yeah, Hacktoberfest. Yep. Heck yeah. Love it. I've been doing Hacktoberfest every year since the first year. So I worked for DigitalOcean for a number of years, and I've done Hacktoberfest ever since... I can't remember if the first year they did it was my first year there or right before, but I've had a Hacktoberfest shirt from every single year, and I'm actually sad because a couple of them got ruined, so I got rid of them, but what are you going to do? So welcome, Raiders. Good to see you all today. So for those who are subscribers, we have emotes now. So the tier 1 subscribers have the MD Layer emote, literally MDLAYHERR. Pretty hilarious. So whenever I have compilation errors in my code, you're welcome to spam this. I tried to move the Gopher. I have a Gopher emote and a Linux Penguin as well. I think the Gopher is not available at the moment. I tried to move them down to tier 1, but the problem is that I think I need like 25 subs before I can move them all down to tier 1. It's kind of silly. So at the moment, I don't have a tier 2. I'm trying to move the Gopher down. It's going to take a few days. But we will eventually have all the emotes down to tier 1. It'll be pretty funny. So what do you want from me? No. I need to mute my phone really quick. Yeah, we have emotes now, so you all are welcome to spam some emotes. Pretty funny. Cool. Welcome to the stream today. So we are going to be working on CoreRAD a little bit. I have a couple of things I want to work on, but first, I made some tweaks to the Keylight program we worked on last week. So first of all, you'll see here on my screen I have the Keylight command. So if I run this, the light turns off. Cool. So I was able to completely uninstall the phone app, which is great. Turn it back on. There we go. It actually reports the current color temperature and brightness. So if I do, what is it? -T, I want to say it's like 7,000 is the max, and then brightness 100. It's like the sun. Bring it back to 4,225. That sounds pretty good. Yep. We also have the ability to query the device for its information. So if you have an Elgato Keylight, give this a go. I recommend giving it a try. It should work pretty well. Yeah. Welcome, welcome. Colonel Warden, thank you so much for the follow. Sleepy Cat, thank you for the follow as well. Thank you both so much. Cool. Okay, let's get started. So today, I've got an eyelash in my eye. That's the worst, right? I've had it recently where like I'll go out and I'll start like driving in my car somewhere, and you suddenly have to like really like itch your face or something, and it's like, no, don't touch your face when you're out of the house. Trying to stick by the rules if I can, but. Anyway, so today we are going to be doing some more frustration-driven development a little bit. So recently I have added a couple of new VLANs to my router. Those of you who were here with my stream last weekend, I believe, we worked on that a little bit. And what's been happening is for some reason the IPv6 prefixes have been falling off of my interfaces. And I don't know if that is a DHCP CD, so the DHCP client daemon. I don't know if it's a bug in that software or it's a bug in something else, but I want the ability to monitor a little bit the kinds of things my ISP is sending me, and since CoreRAD already understands NDP traffic and router advertisements, I think it probably makes sense to have some kind of monitoring mode so we can actually see what the ISP is sending us. We could do things like alert if the default route is about to drop. I think that would be pretty useful. So I think that's the plan for today. Ooh, just had some coffee before the stream. It's like kicking in a little bit. So I've kind of got a little bit of a PR going. Oh, not yet. Not like a PR, but I've got a little bit of stuff going here where we're going to add a new option to the toggle configuration for monitoring. So the idea is in CoreRAD, you have interfaces that are set to either advertising or not. So you can have interface in the code and then turn off advertising if you want to just temporarily disable it. So now we will have an exclusive or some mutually exclusive option called monitor that will set up a monitoring mode. So that monitoring mode is what we're going to work on today. We are going to figure out how to read router advertisements from the upstream, report on them with metrics and such, and probably write some alerts. So I guess it would be pretty useful to show you all some of my alerts, wouldn't it? So I've actually been using CoreRAD in production at home for a number of months, but I finally set up Prometheus Alerts as well. So one sec, let me get a window going over here. Okay. Got to get the credentials out of LastPass. I really should set up the what's it called? There's like this thing called like Pass, written by the same author, the author of WireGuard. I know it's like it's supposed to be like a little command line password utility. It looks pretty cool, so I should set that up. So here we go. So this is my current set of alerts for my Prometheus. So if I check here, we've got a few things like kind of some basic stuff. Yeah, password store uses GPG keys, like it a lot. Nice. Okay, yeah, I should check that out. I've been meaning to for a long time, honestly. So we had some basic alerts before, like, okay, some instance is down, some exporter is down that's not running on my desktop. Home Prometheus, yes, absolutely Home Prometheus. It's the best. It is, I get a lot of mileage out of this, actually. I have Prometheus, I have Alert Manager, I have Grafana. So we have the black box exporter, which can determine if an exporter is down. We have things like TLS, certificate expiration alerts. Oh, does Alert Manager have an out-of-band way of alerting you if your ISP is having issues? No. Well, maybe. I think you would probably have to do it yourself. Like, I, at various points, have experimented with things like a backup LTE link or similar, but I do not have that running at the moment. So right now, if my internet is down, then yeah, I get no alerts, which is not great. But I run Prometheus, etc. on my server and have it monitor my home. Yeah, totally. Yes, this is for my home lab. So I run things like Prometheus and Grafana for my home lab. I've been doing it now for at least a few years. Home can crash. Yeah, I mean, I guess so, right? Some of the services. So what I was saying is I actually created a number of alerts for CoreRAD. So for example, I can tell that if an interface is not advertising or it's not forwarding traffic or it is set to auto configuration, we know the interface is somehow misconfigured and we should alert on that. If we are not advertising two prefixes with the prefixes of my /56 or my /48 ULA address, then we know we did send alert as well, because that means that the prefixes fell off of the interface. Maybe I should add a user guide entry to go crazy for how to run that stack on it. Yeah, totally. I would be curious if something like Prometheus would burn out the SD card pretty quick because of all the time series writes. I'm running this on my bigger server box over here as well. But I'm actually running Alert Manager on a Pi because I wanted it to have like a meta monitoring box. But I think I'm going to run them in AJ somehow. We can check and see if a given interface has not advertised any multicast arrays in the past 20 minutes or so, because that means that probably something is hung, which is not great. We can also alert if we see any inconsistencies from a different router. So if we have another router running on my network, I will actually get alerts if it sends out any router advertisements that are inconsistent with the ones I'm configuring. So, yeah, and we also have an alert here as well for if a prefix is not set to Slack mode, so autonomous address auto configuration. We alert on that as well because I'm using that exclusively at home. I don't want any prefixes advertised that are not Slack. So you'll see here, this has actually helped me out a few times. And again, I woke up yesterday because the missing prefix alert was firing. So one of my prefixes had dropped off the interface, and that's just a strange thing. So I want to see if there's something my ISP is sending me that might trigger that, perhaps. I'm not really sure. I think that might be more so a bug with DHCP CD, but I guess we'll find out. Also, so it's pretty funny here. So I had to write this regex for this /56 matcher and this /48 matcher, and clearly this is not great. There's probably a more accurate regex I could use. I really wish Prometheus had like CIDR contains functions, you know, that'd be pretty useful, but it's such a niche use case. I imagine it's probably not necessary either. Right, so I think what we're going to do today is work on that monitoring mode, add some more metrics, and possibly write a couple of alerts. So let's get that going. So before the stream, I did basically the basic plumbing for the configuration file. So now if we specify monitor equals true, we will have an interface, set to monitoring mode. So I think probably what's going to be the easiest way to do this is, for my development environment, I will run a script really quick. We'll go ahead and create a couple of VETH pairs here. So now we have a VETH pair. They're pointed at each other. This is a virtual Ethernet link. Ooh, excuse me. This is a virtual Ethernet link, and on this, I can run CoreRAD on one end of this and issue router advertisements and then actually verify that they take effect on the other side. Because, for example, the Linux kernel will see those and then automatically configure IP addresses. Pretty cool. So if I run CoreRAD on CRAD VETH 0, then I could run the CoreRAD monitor on CRAD VETH 1 and actually detect router advertisements. So we can run two instances here. So I think this could be pretty interesting. So I guess for now, let's just see what happens. Or actually, no, we don't need to run two instances. We would be running one instance we run one instance, and it is just listening on two interfaces, but it will see the traffic passing between the two. So if I run this, I think this will work, actually. Oh, I think I probably want to use the make file. It does things like setting up the build timestamps and stuff. Let's see here. CoreRAD. Do I have to? Yeah. I need to come up with a little more convenient way to run this, but command CoreRAD, toml. Right. Not permitted, of course. So we're going to run sudo for now. This is just local. It's fine. Okay, so now we can tell that the monitoring configuration is being accepted, but it doesn't actually do anything. So the goal now is to implement that code. So let's have a good time. Writing lots and lots of code from scratch today. So the place I want to start today is the advertiser code. So right now, CoreRAD has the concept of an advertiser, and it's an advertiser's job to take an interface and kind of own that interface and do jobs such as sending out router advertisements. But the advertiser is spun up by the server type. So the server accepts the configuration structure and spins up all the possible Go routines and handles things like the cancellation trees. So within this run method that you pass the context, which is established using a signal handler at the beginning of the main, for every configured interface that is advertising, we create an advertiser and begin the advertising loop. So I think alternatively here, we're going to have it so that if an interface is set to monitoring mode, it will spin up a monitor. So we're going to have some kind of like CoreRAD monitor type, which will probably share a lot of code with the advertiser as far as like reading router advertisements. So I think we can probably start by perhaps copying and pasting some of this. I think I want roughly, I guess, well, we could copy and paste, but we're gonna have to remove a lot of stuff anyway. But we could at least use it as inspiration, right? So let's start a new file. Let's get going here. Monitor.go. My dude, streaming again. Yes, I am streaming again. And we have emotes. So welcome, welcome, welcome. You can spam. So if you see compilation errors in my code, feel free to spam the if error not equals null. I had a really good time drawing those. It was just the funniest thing. Like, I've got a friend who's an artist. She's going to make real emotes, but for the time being, I I couldn't go without, right? Like, I'm a Twitch affiliate. Like, I need my emotes. I demand them, right? So I thought it would be pretty funny for me to draw some myself. I had a gopher. I tried to set it as a tier 1, but Twitch does not allow you to move emotes between tiers. It's really annoying, actually. So I had to change it. Yes, they are PNG files. I have the originals if you're interested for some reason, but I tried to change it so that the gopher, instead of being the tier 2 emote, was another tier 1, because I have 2 slots now. And actually, if I get 25 subscribers, we get 3. So the goal for today is to get a few more subscribers. Wink, wink. If you have Twitch Prime subs, you should do it. But I think we'll probably give out some gift subs, too. No, I actually drew it by hand. So I drew it by hand and then scanned it. I have a scanner. I actually was going to try drawing it, but the problem is I use a trackball, and trackballs are pretty horrible for drawing. So I use pen and paper. I just thought it would be way too funny to pass up. Hey, Lithium, thank you so much for the gift sub to Katsukatsu. I appreciate it. We are 1 sub closer. By the way, I intend on giving out some gift subs myself, so don't feel obligated, but... Hey, LDB, welcome. Should I call you LDB Data? I don't know. I mean, I know your real name, but I'm not sure if you want that spread around, but hey, happy Saturday. Post the image, I'll edit it, make it transparent background. Yeah, so actually, I did that on purpose. Like, I left it non-transparent on purpose because I wanted them to look like crappy paint emotes. So, I know that's like a silly thing, but I thought it would be funnier that way. But I think if we could make possibly like a nicer looking error one, that's probably the easy one. But I legitimately wanted them to be kind of silly. So, we also have this as well. So, the Tux is the tier 3 emote. Actually, I guess for folks who aren't in chat, we can go ahead and open up I can open up the files. So... I have to draw in Jackbox games for my trackball mouse. It's awful. Yeah, I bet. 1 sec. Let me find the files really quick, and I'll open them up and share them. Let's see here. Emotes. Ah! It pops up in the wrong monitor. Why does it do that? Bells, I'll take a 2 hard IPA. Heck yeah, I love Bells. I have the wall of beer behind me. 1 sec. Okay. So I guess first I can show, welcome, the wall of beer. So Bell's is my favorite brewery. They introduced me to craft beer. I grew up in Jackson, Michigan. I moved to Kalamazoo for school. I had no idea what craft beer was. And I remember trying Oberon for the first time, and I was like, wow, this is, beer can be like this. It's very different. Pretty cool. I'm like an expert level derailer. Please don't let me derail. Yeah, no worries. So this is the piece of paper I drew my emotes on. So originally I was experimenting with a couple other error not equals nil. I ended up sticking with this one. We have the gopher, which is coming back as a tier 1 soon though, and the tux penguin, and then different sizes as well. So this is the original resolution, the gopher, and then the tux. The gopher is very ugly. Yes, that was intentional. I drew them badly on purpose. I thought it would be pretty funny to have hand-drawn emotes for the time being. So, no worries. No offense taken whatsoever. Okay, let me close the folders and back to the code. Cool. Oberon has gone downhill, though, becoming more of a fan of Old Nation instead of Bells. Yeah, So the thing is like Oberon it's brewed year round. Like it actually gets distributed to like states like California and Florida year round. But the thing is like we don't have it for 6 months at a time. So I guess I'm never really sure how much it changes or if my palate is changing. I do like Old Nation as well, but a lot of their stuff like Old Nation is like there's like hop sediment in the bottom of the cans that kind of doesn't sit well with me anymore. If the gopher is ugly, I mean, it's true to form. Yeah, that's true. I like the gopher. I know it's not for everybody. Renee French, the author, her style is certainly not for everybody. Roll the can. Yeah, I do that, but then the thing is like I don't really want to drink that stuff either. Like usually what I'll do is I'll just drink the top 2/3 of the can. By the way, so I have it in the stream title as well, but today I believe at 3:22 p.m. So in a couple of hours, SpaceX is supposed to be doing a launch. We are going to watch that on stream for sure. So please remind me when we're getting very close to that. I will do my best. I've got a reminder set on my phone, but please let me know. Wasted good beer. Lithium, thank you so much for the gift sub to Spartan GTR. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. 10 gift subs. That's insane. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to put on some background music for myself really quick. What do I want to listen to today? Okay, this is crazy. So I'm not going to post this up. I'm not going to do this on the stream because I don't want to like have to edit it out later. But how many of you have played the Sonic Adventure games? So like Sonic Adventure 2, like that was one of the games I played as a kid. And somebody shared a version of Live and Learn, so the final boss theme, in Spanish. And I think it's kind of crazy. So I'm just going to drop this in the chat really quick. So I thought this was very cool. Like, you could definitely like feel the passion of the singer and stuff, but I'd never heard the song in any language other than English. So if you've ever played a Sonic game, check that out. Live and Learn Spanish from Sonic 2. Sonic Adventure 2. Yeah, super random stuff, but... what was I gonna... Let's see here. What do I want to listen to? So I've thought about putting music on the stream, but the thing is, I don't want to worry about it with YouTube and stuff like that. So for the time being, I'm just going to put in some stuff for myself. I recommend you all do the same if you're interested. Let's see. Let's go with... That'll work. So some more Fire Emblem today. I think that sounds pretty good. Cool. Ah! That is loud in my headphones. There we go. I should do this before the thing. The thing is I always forget, right? Feel like a super coder. Yeah. Okay, so we are 20 minutes into the stream and we've done pretty much nothing. So let's get back to the code. My apologies. Having a good time. If you put music on, make sure the volume is low enough so it doesn't get censored in the VOD. Interesting. Yeah, I think that I'm just going to try and I think I'm just not going to put music on stream. The thing is that if I do that, then if I am listening to something that some viewer doesn't like, then they might want to leave. So I think it's best to give viewers the option to listen to their own, But that's just me. So this monitor is going to need a system. No, it's going to need Prometheus metrics. It's going to need an air group to coordinate things. So it's actually probably going to need a fair amount of this code. So I think we're going to copy the advertiser. We're going to copy at least some of this. Wouldn't it be great to make a Twitch plugin that plays music, but you can turn it off? Yeah, totally. That would be nice. I just want to give the viewer as much control as possible, I think I am going to copy this to start. I was waffling back and forth, but there's a lot of code we can share here. So the idea is we need something that can dial an NDP connection and then using that begin listening for router advertisements. So this can go away. This can go away. Initialize monitoring. So this is going to be monitoring from the IP address. Yes. Okay. Advertise. No, this is going to be called monitor now. It's going to need to listen for interface state changes as well, because we want to register for interest. So for example, if the interface's state goes up or down, we want to be able to reinitialize. So this monitoring type is going to need a monitor method. Let's see here. So all these A dots are going to need to be M dots. So M dot. Let's do some multi-cursor here. I recently learned some of the VS Code, like, cool techniques. Let's see here. Oh, does Control D work? Yeah, it does. Yeah, sweet. There we go. I am not very good at my editor. I'm trying to get better. My apologies. We need the log F method as well. I apologize. I should have said some more boilerplate. The thing is like when I got on stream, or when I was talking about what I wanted to stream today, I could not decide. Yes, GoPlease can rename things for me. The thing is, though, is I think that the compilation is sufficiently broken that GoPlease will probably be unable to help me. So that is why I'm doing things manually at the moment. Took a nice walk in the sun. That sounds nice. Yeah, I think that's our plan tomorrow. So Kalamazoo has a nature center. That's actually a very nice area, and we're going to go do that as well tomorrow. That sounds like a great time. M monitor. I don't think we're going to need a shutdown method on this, so nothing's going to happen here. Okay, want to entertain me and see if it still works for local variables like the method receiver? Yeah, sure. I can do that. I suspect it will not, but let's see here. So rename to M. It did work. Wow. Today I learned. I've come to kind of learn that, like, if GoPlease is, if things are a little bit wedged, like compilation's a little bit broken, things usually don't work. So let's change this to monitor. Monitor. Yeah, not possible because some reason. So. Hot take. GoLand is very happy to rename things without everything having to compile. Yeah, I'm sure GoPlease will get there, you know. Some things work, some things don't. Yeah, for sure. Monitor. Given a system con, yes, that is the abstraction over the NDP interface, and then a watch channel. That's also what I want. We are going to spin up a Go routine. Actually, no. This doesn't need to spin up a Go routine. It will just have the listener, essentially. So I think a lot of this can go away. Oh, we are going to need to Go routine to watch the... Okay, never mind. I lied. So we're going to have two Go routines here. We are going to get rid of the scheduler and the multicaster. We are just going to have a listener and a watcher for state changes on the channel. GoLand has its own implementation of everything as far as I know, pretty wild. Yes, I believe it is all like their own implementation, which is cool. It's neat to have competing implementations, but I want to support open source wherever I can, you know. Presumably it's shared with their general language infrastructure for manipulating ASTs of every language. Yeah, totally. They've been putting years and years of work into that sort of thing. What is going on? Did I ever share on Slack and stuff? I did not. I never advertised on Go for Slack. Getting the stream started 25 minutes late. Oops. I'm all over the place today. Like I said, just kind of woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I meant to share a message on Go for Slack. I've got like a whole pre-flight checklist of things I do, and I just totally forgot. So, oops. Oh, still using my student license. So yeah, totally. I mean, take advantage while you can, you know. Listen. Okay, so the listener Go routine is going to need to do approximately the same thing, but instead of sending messages on a channel, it's going to modify metrics. So we want roughly this code. We want deadline now. Oh, actually, we don't want that because it's in the same package. We'll stick with it until I get kicked out. Yeah, totally. I mean, to be fair here, I don't think there's anything wrong with like paying for a tool you like and you want to use. That being said, I just like to support open source. That's me, you know. Ah, come on. We cause reference to become. What do you got to say? Oh, I killed it. Oops. Let's get rid of this. What are you trying to tell me? Become shadowed by this intervening var definition. Oh, I see. Okay, message. That's cool. Okay, so it prevented me from making a mistake. So if I rename this to message, there we go. GoLand is a fine piece of software. It gives Go Please goals. That's true. Yeah, I can't hate. I've legitimately never tried it. I know that I'm just I don't want that. This is in the same package. We're gonna need to modify all of these in this file. So advertiser, replace all of these with monitor. Yep. I don't think Go took anything. Oh, I reckon Go. Okay. Learn the important bits from Python regarding batteries included in well-supported standard library. Python also has amazing ST libraries. Yeah, certainly there could be inspiration there. It's worth noting that Go Please has static check and GoLand doesn't, so Go Please wins by default. I sense a little bit of bias going on here. I'm not sure if you can make that statement in an unbiased way. What's the link for enabling static check and Go Please? I know in VS Code, at least, it's like an option in the config. I'm pretty sure it's like a per editor thing. So I cannot speak for Emacs, but I think Dominic uses Emacs as well. So this hook can go away. We're going to need both of these. We're going to need... I don't think we're going to need this at all, actually. I don't think we're going to need the config, because the only configuration here is just whether or not you're monitoring. Everything called advertiser in this file needs to be changed to monitor. Done. I actually never turned it on Emacs. Oops. So the author of this tool that has integration with Go Please is not using it. Wow. Thanks for maintaining the Go mode Emacs package. Hearts. So nice. Right. So this is weird now. We have this metrics type, and I think we want to share this between them. So I'm pretty sure we're going to want to factor that out. So, well, no, I guess this is fine because it will initiate a default one if nothing happens. So this is probably okay. Dialer, okay. I think we can close this pane for now and go back to the terminal here. So roughly what we want is we want to call this monitor function. This monitor function is going to spin up an error group, and the error group is going to listen for connections, and it's going to listen for state changes. And when a state change happens, it reports an error, which causes this entire context cancellation tree to bubble up, and we'll be good. Got a message. Oh, okay. Hey, Taryn, build your PC so you can stream. If anybody's thinking about streaming later and you're doing programming stuff, I'd be happy to throw you a raid. So we got to keep the raid train rolling, you know? We have to spam MD layer error. MD layer. That's so weird. We have to spam that in somebody's channel later. That's the goal for today. So I need somebody to stream some programming so we can do a raid. A lot of this code is going to be the same. Dominic, you got to stream next. Do it. I have tried to convince Dominic. I don't think he will. He says that like I can make Nuix send things faster. Let me know when hell freezes over. This code's gonna be duplicated pretty much from the Hey, Bam Bam Bazooka, thank you so much for the follow. This code's gonna be duplicated from the advertiser. We're gonna want to dedupe this for sure. So this entire routine pretty much, so to do dedupe with advertiser. But instead of doing this handle function, we're going to, for now, just print the message and who we got it from. So message and the host. We'll do log f because that's a smarter thing. So m log f monitor percent pound v percent s percent pound v, and this is going to be the host and then the message they sent us. I'm too handsome to stream, but send confusing messages to the audience. Yeah, I'm sure. Why has no filter method LL? Yes, it does. It's got the local logger. It does. Okay. All right, let's get this compiling. We need to... I want to verify a few things. So, monitor redeclared in this... Oh, that's why. That's silly. We should do the tmux split thing again so you all can see the messages. There we go. And now we've got some dead space down here, unfortunately, but we could do something like, C matrix. That's pretty cool, right? Or maybe Hollywood, which won't work for you. Oh, shoot, that takes over the whole... That takes over the whole pane. That's not what we want. Do I have SL installed? I do not. No, I don't want to install SL. Every time I do that, you end up like... Go ahead. Burn some of that bit rate. Yeah, totally. I mean, in theory, I'm streaming with a pretty good connection, and I'm doing the max bitrate Twitch allows, but we've still missed a few frames due to rendering lag. That's weird. 15 frames out of about 83,000. Yeah, Hollywood was a pretty new tool to me too, but that's the Hollywood's really silly. So I'll just for demonstration again really quick. So I guess Hollywood was created to provide like hacker scenes. So if you imagine me with my one sec. So I've got my hoodie on. I need to turn my light off really quick. I'm in a dark room, just like hunched over a keyboard doing this. Pretty funny. Ah, what did I do? Oh, I forgot. Extremely elite. Well, there's zero cool. Having way too much fun already today. Sorry about that. Let's see here. Only useful for in-person office time. Yeah, right. If somebody thinks you're not working at your desk, you put on Hollywood and put on your hood and turn off the lights. I think I mentioned this last stream, but there was one point where I worked in an office and I worked in like the sysadmin area, and we actually unscrewed all the fluorescent bulbs above us, so the area was completely dark, and we're all just like in the dark. The next Hollywood anti-trope I want to see is single mom who is a basement hacker. So she's like the soccer mom that has to juggle the kids and then goes and hacks things. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Risk is the future. What were we even doing? Oh yeah, I created this extra split so we could leave. Oh, that's still a little distracting though. I don't know. We'll leave it blank for now. We'll use it for like Git and stuff. Let's get this compiling. Let's write some code on the stream today. Hopefully. Type monitor has no config. Yes, it does not. It does not need one. It has the name of the interface though. So 163. iFace. Yep. CM declared. We're gonna want to dedupe this as well. So to do. So the IPv6 control message we definitely want because we need to verify a couple of things like the hop limit being 255, which means that there was no way for the NDP traffic to be forwarded by a different router. So to do verify control message. So this is going to be part of the dedupe of the other code for sure. Vim has some good Git integration. I mean, VS Code does too. I just don't use it. It's one of those things where like I never switched over from using it in the terminal, Okay, our code compiles. So that is something. There's probably lots wrong with this because I'm mostly messing with chat instead of coding today. Oh, let's see here. So we'll run the compilation loop, but let's fix some of these docs and stuff. So, and monitor. So a monitor listens and reports on NDP traffic. New monitor creates a monitor for the specified interface. If LL is nil, logs are discarded. If MM is nil, yes, excellent. Never touched npm and a little bit happy about this. Usually I'm happy with stuff up to layer 4. Yeah, like layer 4 is I think layer 4 is generally like my highest as well. I'm not really interested in stuff above that myself, but Emacs has amazing Git integration. Okay, and I use it for 2 things only. Yep, sounds about right. Committing files and editing the interactive rebase. I much prefer the CLI over learning a new UI. Yeah, totally. I love watching people work on databases and network things. I do so much CRUD that I always feel like I miss out. Oh yeah, you'd be surprised. Like I suspect that. Oh, Siphon, thank you so much for the follow. So I know Jordan works on Cockroach at work. I end up doing a good amount of networking stuff at work, but a lot of CRUD too. So this sort of thing is definitely more. This is the kind of thing I really am passionate about. This sort of like low level networking stuff. But there's a lot of CRUD in every job, right? Pretty much. CRUD engineer for the win. Only use git CLI. Sublime merge is a great UI. Sublime merge. So is that like Sublime Text built-in thing? I have no idea. I think I tried to use Sublime Text briefly, but I think that was back in my I think my first editor was actually Notepad 2, not even Notepad++, Notepad 2. That was a Windows thing. I use Emacs for just one thing, org mode. I mean, org mode is Emacs, right? Let's see here. So monitor initializes the configure interface and begins listening for incoming NDP, listening and reporting on incoming NDP traffic. And I don't need to reflow these manually anymore because I have this very cool VS Code extension that I press Alt-Q and all my comments get reflowed for me. So, wow, chat is going crazy today. I'm in charge of our web development, and due to our team not wanting to learn front end, I ended up doing all the hard JavaScript. Oh, brutal. Before calling monitor, call events. Oh, that doesn't even apply anymore. I think I got rid of events. Hang on one sec. Ah, my comment got out of date. I'm still going to write dot comments. You can't convince me otherwise, but this entire block can go away. Cool. Yeah, let's remove that really quick while I'm thinking about it. So, advertise. Yes. Advertise.go. Internal CoreRAD. Remove outdated comment about advertiser events. So the advertiser used to have like an events channel, but we got rid of it with this like callback function because returning channels and APIs is often makes your life difficult sometimes. Learned Emacs when I was 16. I regret it every day. I think I learned Vim when did I start doing Linux? I was 17. So I used Vim from like 17 until like 22 or 23, and I've been using VS Code for the past like however long it's been out, pretty much like 4 years, probably 4 or 5 years. I was a Vim boy for approximately all of life till started org mode and Spacemax last year. No regrets. No regrets. Traitor. I learned basic Emacs in college and switched to Vim, but Emacs is supposed to be better. I've actually never tried Emacs, not once. I know people love it. I don't know. I think the Lisp scared me away, but then again, Vim script is not much better, right? There are no... Oh, this is the advertiser, right? I was going to say there are no plugins for monitoring. So we just initialize. We tell us what IP we're monitoring from. When context is canceled, we shut down. CoreRAD monitor. Must never return an error. Yep. Fair. Internal loop for monitor. Coordinates the various monitor go routines. Yes. Listener, which reports on NDP traffic. Oh, I think we got an editor war brewing. I need some editor war emotes or something. I could just change it to emote only mode if we need to for a little bit. Just spam some of my emotes. Link state watcher. Yes, we definitely want a link state watcher. Nano or go home. Yeah, I agree with you. I actually, somebody showed me, what was it, micro? Hang on a sec. So, micro editor. I learned about micro recently, and I think I might give this a try for like servers and stuff. Like, this looks pretty cool, actually. Just like kind of like a minimal, like nano inspired sort of thing. It's written in Go. Any editor written in Go is awesome, So I should check this out. Microeditor.github.io. I'll drop a link to this too. Wife is back after on before I become a statistic. Hey, Lithium, thank you so much for hanging out. I'll be here for at least another couple of hours. We're gonna watch Rockets too, so feel free to come on back if you can. But otherwise, take care. Thanks again for the gift subs. I really appreciate it. You are awesome. I appreciate it. Chose Vim over Emacs because it's much less forgiving on your hands. Plus, modal editing is just amazing. IMO. Yeah, I hear. Yeah. I don't know. I've never given Emacs a fair try, so I guess I can't debate. But Vim IntelliJ combo has ruined me. Haven't used Emacs or anything for probably 5+ years now. Yeah, I think that also, large data bank here is a Emacs plus Goland person, so kind of similar lines, I believe. I use VS Code in Nano because I'm lazy. When I switched to my Kinesis, I totally forgot how to use Vim. Like, the key bindings just no longer worked in my head. Listener, monitor, yep. Dedupe, okay. Failed to interrupt listener. Andre C. Costa, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. Verify control message, read, okay. Yeah, this should approximately work what we want. So the goal of this is just to listen for messages. So if we plumb this into the server, we can... So if advertise is false and not iFace monitor, interface is not advertising or monitoring, skipping initialization. So this means that nothing is going on, like it's just a no op essentially. This net state thing, I created this package a little prematurely, I think, because basically it kind of parses apart route netlink events for detecting when like a link's state changes, and I think it's not really the ideal abstraction. I think it could use some more work. I will probably bring it back into this tree and work on it again a bit more, but I think today I'll switch to everyday astronaut instead of coding. Space day. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna watch rockets. I'm very interested in that as well. I remember watching the Falcon Heavy launch with the Tesla, the cherry red Tesla or whatever, and that was just like one of the coolest things I'd ever seen. And like watching the two two boosters like land on the pads like was unbelievable. Yeah, I think I'm going to, let's see here. I'm gonna take a quick bathroom break. I guess coffee something. So right. I'll be back in just a sec. So continue your editor war. Feel free. Okay, we are back. Oh yeah, so Twitch chat font sizes. I think actually if you just increase the size of the Twitch pane itself, it will keep the video the same size, but increase the size of the chat. So I actually was doing that earlier as well because I was like working on some stuff over there while watching Stoffelberg's chat. And I think if you just like Control Plus in Chrome, it'll do the right thing. I could be wrong depending on your settings, but it seems to work for me. Right, what were we doing? Right, we got to get this working, don't we? It's been a feature request for years. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, so I know there's like better Twitch TV and all that stuff. The thing is that like I feel like I haven't given into those yet. I know there's like a whole bunch of custom emotes and things like that, but I'm just not sure if I like want that. You know. Wow, did I really lose that many viewers? I think it said it just lost like 50% of my viewers like when I took that break. Wow, that's a shame. What happened? Anyway, not a big deal, I guess. Yeah, I know I'm missing out on a ton of mute stuff, the plugins. Yeah, I can't decide if I like. Aren't there like some pretty awful emotes and stuff? Like I can't decide if I yeah. You can use IRC to access Twitch chat. Really? Wow, today I learned. That is something. Right, so at this point we have to have one of advertise or monitor. So if IFI advertise, it's how Twitch bots work too. It's all IRC. Interesting. Okay. Today I learned. So we could probably do this in a bit of a cleaner way, but I think for the time being, we're going to do this. So we have advertising mode, and we're going to have monitoring mode. If IFI advertise versus IFI monitor. See, my thing is, like, I love, like, I'm kind of like, it's one of those things where I never really thought I would appreciate, like, Twitch chat and the emotes and stuff like that, but I've had a really good time, like, playing with that sort of stuff. So I feel like, for me, I would miss out if I didn't have like the emote spam and stuff like that. Interesting. Monitor. Failed to monitor NDP. Yep. Right. Hello? Oh, iFace. I conventionally like to use IFI. I think it's like a standard library pattern for net interfaces, but these are not net interfaces. They are slightly different. So let's see here. Does that compile? Are I stuck? Oh, there we go. Okay. It was just taking a long time to run the test. Cool. So now we have something that should approximately be a monitor mode. The very, very basics. So given this monitor structure, the server will spin it up if it's configured to do so. We're gonna need to factor some more stuff out for sure. Monitor will invoke this. It will dial an NDP connection, which will be re-enabled on any errors. So if errors come back here that are considered to be retryable, this system dialer type will actually redial the NDP connection. It does a lot of reinit logic. So this is something I factored out that the advertiser had integrated, and it was very, very complicated as is. So this will do things like inspect the error for, okay, permission denied means, this is never going to work, so don't bother. But if the link wasn't ready or the link's state changed or something like that, then we have the ability to reinitialize. So that's pretty useful. So back to this. Once the NDP connection is initialized, we'll invoke monitor. And then monitor is expected to either return context canceled or a non-nil error. So we create an error group here. This is going to create a go routine, which is listening for NDP traffic. This method can be deduped a little bit with the existing advertiser code. And then we have the watcher go routine as well. The watcher's job is to listen for these state changes in this channel. These are being generated by route netlink. So whenever we receive a state change at the moment for an event we care about, which I believe is just link down. So for now, if a link goes down, we use that as a signal that we need to reinitialize the advertiser and create new sockets. So that works. We return this error link change, which means that some state change that we need to reinitialize and do a retry. And then we wait. So this should pretty much work. And this is all copy pasted as well. So for the listener go routine, first we spin up a background go routine that waits for the context to be done. And as soon as the context is done, it sets a read deadline of a time in the past. So I do time Unix 10. So this means that basically, because the time has already passed in the system clock, it will immediately time out the read, which will cause this read from to break. And if the context error is not nil, we know we were canceled by context. Otherwise, we can do things like retry on network errors. So this should all fit together pretty well. So let's try configuring that for monitoring and see what happens. So we have CoreRAD v0, which is advertising, and we have CoreRAD v1, which is monitoring. Cool. Make, and yes, run it. Hey, check that out. So you will see here, CoreRAD v0 is initialized and CoreRAD v1 is monitoring. So the monitor received 2 router advertisements already. So as soon as a new one is sent, I would expect it to, yep, there we go. So we are successfully monitoring router advertisements already. That was trivial. It's basically copying and pasting some code because we've already got good primitives in place. So now I think I want to dedupe this. I don't want to commit this with all the copy logic we have right now. But very cool. We are on our first step. Why won't it? Sometimes the keyboard shortcuts for these things get a little bit wedged. It's really annoying. Yes, CoreRAD is the project I'm working on right now. This is my IPv6 router advertisement daemon. It is the one I am running at home that is actually running my entire IPv6 network. So if I issue NDP RS, this is my new 10 gig interface. Heck yeah. So we are advertising prefixes for... Oh, this is the wrong interface. Hang on a sec. Is it... What's the name? ENP11? EP4. What is going on? Is my 10 gig down? That's very strange. One sec. I'm not sure what's going... Oh, no, it is. Okay. I think I was just misreading it. So the default interface, I believe, is the 1 gig it detects. Yes. But ENP4S0 is my 10 gig interface. ENP4S0. So you'll see we're actually advertising a couple of different prefixes. We have the primary LAN prefix as well as the 10 gig LAN prefixes on a different interface. Yeah, so this is all Go software being used to query this and also generate this. And this is how IPv6 listening interfaces can get their addresses assigned. So pretty cool. So we're adding more functionality right now to monitor my network because I want to know when my ISP does bad things. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely not the kind of software you see every day. I enjoy writing network software. I have a lot more fun doing this than building like a web API, you know? Hey, I'm writing from IRC. Yes, it works. Essentially for catching ISP and backbone issues downstream. Yeah, so what this does right now is it focuses exclusively on your LAN, so it can advertise messages from the LAN, and it doesn't really care about the uplink. I want the ability to monitor the uplink. Like, I want to know if they're still sending me router advertisements, because as soon as the router advertisements stop, eventually my default route is going to fall off, so we're going to lose our v6 connectivity, which is not good. So I want the ability to at least passively listen and make sure the ISP is sending me stuff, and if they're not, I can alert on it. So that's the goal for today, is in addition to the downstream functionality we already have, to add upstream functionality so we can listen for what the ISP is sending us. So if let me, one sec, I can actually show, what is your home router? I have a custom home router actually. So one sec, there we go. I guess we can just do terminal full screen. We don't really need the side by side. Yeah, okay. So I have a custom home router. It is running Nix OS. So I use the PC Engine's APU4D4, which is an extremely cool box. I should have a command for this, like a router or something like that. Let's see here. Was looking at installing some stuff locally on Ubiquiti gear since it's FreeBSD under the hood. Yeah, I ran a Ubiquiti edge router for a long time. I am now using the APU as my router because I wanted more flexibility. I'm using Nix OS because it's like a fully declarative Linux. It is amazing. I am very happy with it. Feels like I've gotten so much dumber about networking in general. I've worked almost exclusively with AWS. Yeah, you know, like it's kind of funny. I'm the opposite. Like I work on this stuff almost exclusively at home, but yeah, I have a lot of fun doing this sort of thing. So if I listen to what my ISP is sending me upstream, okay, there we go. So you will see, for whatever reason, their router is kind of, routers, whatever magic is going on, is kind of silly. It's just sending 3 router advertisements every 3 seconds, and just one of them has this prefix information. So I have no idea why they're doing it this way, but when these stop, I will eventually lose my default route. So I want the ability to receive these, increment Prometheus metrics, and alert them as well. So that is the goal for today. Cool. So back to the project. What happened with the music here? Weird. What do I want to listen to? Cool. There we go. IRC. Yeah. You folks using Twitch chat from IRC. That's wow. That's something. I'm salty on AWS in general. Yeah, AWS sounds like a time for sure. Yeah, I want to deduplicate this code. That's right. So let's do some refactoring already. Monitor and advertiser. Okay, so basically the listen functionality in both of these is almost identical. So I want to factor that out somehow into some shared type or some shared logic. Yeah, see, like we have the same logic, like, you know, interrupt in the background with context. So I want to factor this out, but what dependencies does it need? So it has the advertiser A. It uses that just for metrics and handling. Okay, so we should be able to factor this out pretty easy, actually. Factor this out pretty easily. So we can pass in the errors total counter and increment that. Purely selfish reasons. Really, a lot of companies are cutting down infra footprint and moving it all into some cloud. So it's like if you keep working on, it's like if you want to keep working on that kind of stuff, you have to go to work for them, relocate. Not great. Yeah, totally. Remote work for the win. I agree with that. At least the option to remote work, right? Like I get that it's not for everybody, but you should have the option. So if we factor this listen out, what does it need to accept? So func listen. It's going to need the context, the system con, the IP channel. No, we don't need that. That can be handled at a different layer. So effectively, we're going to factor out like all of this stuff. So listen takes a context, a system con. That's what we listen on. System con. Got a couple of concurrent conversations going in the chat there. Cool. Let's see here. So this also wants to, we need the gauge as well. We need the metrics gauge. So returns an error. Okay. Context. Yep. Connection. Yeah, metrics. So we want to increment a gauge. I think we're going to want the interface name as well because we need that in order to... Well, also, this is weird because this is a loop, and I want to invoke this from somewhere else, but I need to, like, pass in... So it's not as easy as I had hoped. Do we want to factor out this? No. Yes? No. I don't know. I don't really want to have, like, a callback function into this, but I guess we potentially could. So given a message performs some operation within a callback, I guess we could start that way. I suspect I'm not going to like that very much, but we could at least give it a try and see what happens. Hey, Angry SRE, thanks so much for the follow. I appreciate that. So, I really don't like the callback. The thing is, though, is we have loops for both of these. Angry SRE, as if there are SREs that aren't angry or grumpy. Yep. How should I factor this out? Like, I feel like there is good room to share this logic here. Maybe I can factor out just this inner loop. And maybe I keep the loop, and maybe I factor out the inside of the loop and just do one receive at a time. Maybe that's more reasonable. So, receive one. I don't know, something like that for now. So let's ignore the loop. Let's factor out just the inner part, because that way we don't need like a callback function. It will be less gross. And in this case, we're going to want to return errors after we back off and retry. So, excuse me. So we can increment the metric outside of here. So now we will return an NDP message, the control message, the host that sent it, and an error, I believe. The IPv6 control message, the host that sent it, which is a NetAdder IP, and an error. Yes. Okay. So return. Let's see here. Multi-cursor fun. So nil. I don't think this is a struct type, so I think we have to do the NetAdder IP. It kind of stinks, but you can see users in the channel. Nice. Very cool. I think it's neat that Twitch supports that integration. I actually had no idea. So let's see here. Error not equals nil. We want to return the error here because the error group is no longer plumbed in here. So let's see here. Why won't this be the default backwards compatible? Oh, maybe. Oh, you're talking about your IRC thing? Sorry. I was curious if you were talking about my code, and I was like, there are no backwards compatibility guarantees here. I'm going to break this as much as I want for the time being. But I think we should probably do the back off and retry outside of this, which would mean that this logic can also be handled outside of here. So this goes back to the loop. Oh, but then I don't know. We'll get there. We will make this work. I will come up with something I'm happy with. So roughly, message control message host error. Error is not equal to nil. There's a temporary error. We continue. Devzom? Is that how you pronounce that? I'm sorry. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Just looking at the loops and everything, wondering how difficult it is actually write testing this. Pretty difficult. So I actually have a pretty good test infrastructure in place, so I feel pretty confident in my ability to like make big changes to this. There are a set of tests which spin up a couple of UDP listeners as well as a couple of ICMPv6 listeners, and they can actually send neighbor advertisement messages back and forth, or neighbor discovery messages back and forth. So it's actually better tested than you would think, but it's the tests are hairy. Like getting the system in a state where you can do that is hard. So we'll get into that later. We're gonna have to write tests for this for sure. Yes, I can mock it fairly easily. The tests run in the order of like in parallel. I think the longest test takes 3 seconds because we have to do an artificial sleep in there. So the tests all run in parallel, so it takes 3 seconds for a test run, which is not bad at all. So, yep, we've got good infrastructure in place for that. So I feel pretty confident. This can also just return a bare error. The context error needs to override. Yeah, so we want to return the context error in this case. So I guess we can explicitly call that out as C error just so it's more obvious. Because if the context was canceled, we don't actually care about what this error was because we assume it was like something related to like a timeout. Oh, okay. I'm currently writing tests for a Go project that has zero coverage. It's pretty big. Yeah. So having to refactor a bunch of stuff so it would actually be quite testable. Having to refactor a bunch of stuff to be testable would be quite frustrating. Yep, totally. Let's just do an MVP before we go for test coverage. And here we are, 2 years from prod and 0 tests. FML. Yeah, I can relate to that. Yeah, I have worked with folks like that before, and it drives me crazy. And I'm at the point now where I will put my foot down and I won't let something go to prod without tests. I'm happy to beat a pain in the neck about it. You know, it's unacceptable. The thing is as professional engineers, it is our duty to, you know, apply software development best practices and to not like. I don't know. Maybe if you're like a startup, right? Like maybe if you're a startup trying to literally get off the ground before you run out of runway, it's one thing, but I don't know. How to refactor a Go project to be more testable by using interfaces so you can mock the implementation. Yeah, mostly it really depends. So for things like HTTP servers, you're best looking at stuff like HTTP test, but in general, using interfaces is a pretty good way to mock things out in Go. But the answer is always, it depends. So we receive a message, we handle it with the back off and such, okay. Now we need to factor out this. I want to factor this out too. This context functionality. We'll get to that. So first of all, does this compile even? Are we at a point where this compiles? Let's close the monitor for now. We're going to focus on this, and then we're going to deduplicate the code and write tests. Wow. Okay, so it compiles and the test passed on the first try. I'm shocked. So now if I run the test coverage, we can actually see what all we're covering here. Oh. One of the worst parts about having a beard is you occasionally get like a beard or a mustache. You occasionally get like a hair in your mouth. Ugh, it's so gross. So as you'll see here, we actually have test coverage on this already, except for the fatal error case. Yeah, we should work on this if we can, but. Interfaces are usually a good option. You pretty much want your tests to be very short and simple to follow, so you would want to concentrate on that when actually writing the code. Yes, totally. Wherever possible, make your tests as easy as possible to understand and read. I'm not going to pretend. I guess I'll show you really quick. It's going to be a while before we get to this in general, but so let me show you a more simple test here. So this advertiser unsolicited shutdown. We have a couple of different types here. We have the simulated version, which uses UDP sockets, and the real version, which requires privileged ICMPv6 sockets. So within the context of each subtest, we basically spin up an advertiser and we inject this client context thing. And the client context has a NDP connection that is pointed at the advertiser. So we can receive actual neighbor discovery messages from it as well as send our own back. So we can use this to test things all in a pretty concise way. But the logic it actually takes to set this up is kind of insane. And, you know, it's one of those things where it works really well, but I kind of think I'm at the point where I just need to maybe start over a little bit if I want to make it a little bit more easy to understand. I don't know. We'll see. But it works fine so far, so I'll leave it alone for now. So this continues to compile. That is great news. We want to factor out this other context stuff as well. So the listen function here should have this context associated with the air group and the connection. Yeah, I mean, actually, maybe we can just factor out this inner function. Maybe we can just factor this out. So, func, set context deadline. con deadline context. So given a context, it will associate a deadline. No. Con interrupt. Hang on a sec. So maybe we can call this like interrupt context. Because given a context, this will interrupt the con. So con is a system con. And then this function can be invoked as interrupt context. CTX con. Okay, this is getting a bit more tidy now. Hello from IRC. Oh, great. We have a whole bunch of IRC people now. Well, I can still see you in the users list at least. So, What, you trying to escape my Twitch ads over here? All right, gang. Well, it's been fun streaming today. Here's a 20-minute ad so I can make some... I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. It's kind of fun now because I have the ability to like run ads and stuff, but it's like there's no way I want to do that, you know? I'm not doing this as like a career or anything, so I feel like that would make people pretty mad pretty quick. I'd have people with pitchforks outside my house. This needs to return a function. Yeah, okay. Func error. IRC for Twitch chat, MPV for Twitch video. You can do that? I guess you probably could, couldn't you? Live the dream. That's pretty cool. I mean, I don't actually mind the Twitch web UI, to be honest, but, you know, do what works for you. Okay. Cool. So we've factored this out now. I got nerd sniped, and I'm still using IRC for Fedora and BPF stuff. Nice. Very cool. So this is looking a lot better now. We are at the point where we have this receive loop that takes care of most of this. I want to factor out this timeout logic as well. Maybe this should go back into the function. Uh-oh. No test, but complex func. What to do with my DB query and API call API? So I guess looking at your, it's hard to read in Twitch chat, of course, but I think my recommendation there would be to first get rid of the global database. Like make sure you pass your database as a local variable. It will make it much easier to test. And you probably want to consider making an interface over your database or something, so you can have like a get users, like a user store, and then you can actually return users from memory as well as your database, and you can test it that way. That's my quick suggestion based on what I saw there. Usually use IRC for Twitch chat, but modding is much easier with the mod dashboard. I mean, not like you really have to worry about moderating here, but I appreciate it anyway. I kind of want to factor, I kind of want this with the loop as well. So maybe this could be called like receive retry. Maybe this does its own loop. Yeah, I think this probably wants a loop as well. So this should be like receive retry. So this, in addition, will have its own loop. So we keep reading messages, but this will retry and back off on its own. I think that's smarter. So now this function is getting even smaller. And we're at the point where all we have is the air group, setting up the context with interrupts, and then the receive retry. So I think that makes a lot of fun. Now watching via MPV. Nice. Oh, yeah, Katsu, no problem. So it's actually funny. So we do have a channel point reward. So if you spend 5,000 channel points, I will do a code review of your code, assuming it's open source. So I'm happy to give suggestions and such. He's got to spend 5,000 channel points. But well, luckily there's 0 mines due for MD layer. Yeah, exactly. I kind of love that emote and like how well that flows with my prefix. Like it's just so beautiful. Before cancellation, before receiving any messages if necessary. So this is going to retry on its own. Context canceled. There's a temporary error. We continue the loop. So this should probably be parameterized a bit. So const retries equals 10, 5. Let's start with 5. So for I : equals 0, while I is less than retries, I plus plus, we are going to retry a fixed number of times. So we'll back off for 50 milliseconds extra for every retry. I think that's probably going to be roughly okay. Yeah, I think so. This will continue at the top of the loop, so if the context is canceled, we won't be stuck forever, which is good. Actually, probably what we should do here is instead of sleeping, we should select on this. So if I select on time.after, so we want retries. So the number of retries times, so this is going to be a time duration, retries, times 50 times time.milliseconds. So for every retry, we add 50 milliseconds of delay. And retries needs to be at no. This needs to be I. So no, so this would be no delay, and then 50. I guess that's probably okay, right? Like don't sleep immediately. Just go ahead and retry immediately. I think that's probably fine. Let's give that a go. CTX done. Nil net adder IP, and the error on the context. What's the ETA for the Spacex launch? Trying to figure out if I need a cup of coffee or not. Yeah, I think I heard 3:22, so a little over an hour from now. And yes, we will definitely watch that on stream. So I will share my desktop. I mean, of course you can watch it yourself, but I'll be sharing that on stream. I hope that's okay. I don't see why that would be against like Twitch TOS. I don't know. Should be fine. If anybody knows more than me, and if that is against like Twitch TOS, like let me know. But I don't see why it would be. Either back off and retry, or I doubt SpaceX is going to DMCA you. Yeah, totally. Or cancel. Isn't the NASA stream public domain? Yeah, I'm not sure, honestly. Back up and try, or cancel if the context is canceled. Or return. Yeah, I'm not sure how I hope the quality will be good, like if I'm streaming a stream, but I mean, we'll see, right? But of course, you all can just watch it in your own windows, and we can just like, you know, talk about it or whatever. But I'm really excited about that. That's going to be very cool. I love space travel and all that stuff, you know. So we convert the IP address to the net adder format because it's easier to work with. And that's it. So, oh, awesome. NASA created content is considered a work of the U.S. government is within the public domain. Sweet. Cool. So I guess I should find the NASA stream and not the SpaceX one. If you want to drop me a link you recommend, I'd be happy to use that. Nil. So this is going to be exhausted read retries. That means that something is probably terminally broken, I would think. Failed to read NDP messages, errors.new. Exhausted %D retries. We'll do format error F. Presumably any SpaceX stream would be copyright of SpaceX. Yeah. Well, so is the NASA stream going to have... Is this NASA stream going to have the... like all the SpaceX like instrumentation and stuff as well? Because I want to be able to see things like the rocket speed and everything. I imagine it probably would, but... Retries. Okay. Cool. This is looking a lot more tidy now. So we set up a function which can interrupt based on context. We receive the retry loop. We read a message, then we handle it. Neat. So now, excuse me. Pretty sure all the live coverage that's being streamed will come from the same origin. Yeah, I imagine so as well. I guess I'm just not sure. I feel like I usually watch the SpaceX stream. I just want to make sure I'm, you know, within the rules here, I suppose, if I can. I mean, we all know like certain aspects of copyright law are a little silly, but I'll try and play by the rules if I can. So now we can actually tear out a whole bunch of duplicated code over here, which is going to be sweet. So this is basically the same idea, except instead of doing that, it's just going to print the messages for now. So the monitor will monitor things. And we will, I guess we can also know the control message just in case. Error not equals nil. Yeah, compilation errors everywhere. Error checks. Oh, an error emote. Hey, you want an error emote? One sec. Ah, there we go. Come on, hurry up. Hey, there we go. MD Layer, thank you so much for the gift sub to Angry SRE. Hey, thanks for hanging out. Now you too have your own error emote. No problem at all. It's kind of funny, but I think I will have the ability to move all my emotes to tier 1 once I have 25 subs. So I'll probably give out some more gift subs today so we can get to that point. I know giving gift subs to your own stream is just like giving Twitch money, but it's fun, you know, why not? I think it's a good time. I have a lot more fun like interacting in Twitch communities than I thought I would. It's definitely a very cool thing. Man, I love the Go syntax so much. Uh-oh, here we go. We have a functional programmer in chat. It is so readable. See, the extra O, you've got me suspicious now. I can't tell if you're being serious or not. Uh-oh. M log F is not defined. Oh, right, I shadowed it. Okay. I like Go a lot. It's not for everybody. You know. It's definitely verbose, for sure. I've actually never minded the error checks myself, but that's just me. Receive, retry. Okay, there we go. So again, I don't think we had any coverage on this stuff beforehand anyway, which is kind of sad. But now, because this is factored out into its own function, I can actually test this entire thing independently, which is very cool. Oh, here we go. I don't like the fact that single return values that are type error don't let you use underscore to ignore them. Single return values that are... I'm trying to understand. Let me make mistakes, damn it. Yeah, for sure. Try it. It'll throw a compile error. Oh, okay. Actually, no, you can totally do that. You can use just underscore equals. So if I do like underscore equals foo, that'll ignore an error just fine. I think you have the colon here. Is that why? Because that is a compile error. Variable not used, eye twitching. Yeah. You know, I don't mind it anymore. I didn't like it at first. I really don't mind it anymore because it drove me crazy tearing out unused variables from other people's code. You know. Go is a nice thing to write after doing Spring for a while. Yeah. Not a oh, today I learned. Yeah, totally. So if you, I'll post this in the chat as well. So if you just do this. So I actually like this pattern a lot for, so for example, if I'm writing an HTTP server, let me pull up the server code really quick. CR Yeah, so in this case, like I'm printing my banner and I'm using underscore underscore to say, I do not care about these values. I don't care about this error. Because at this point, like, what do I care if the client hangs up in the middle of my TCP send, you know? Like, it's not really my problem. So I'm explicitly saying, like, I don't care about this. And this way, like, tools that, like, air check or whatever it's called, don't care. So I like this way. Colon equals needs to declare at least one variable to be valid, but underscore already exists in the context of colon equals. You can do var underscore int. Really? Same for .NET Core. The syntax is just monstrous. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. I don't mind one bit. I used to do C# a little bit too. C# was actually my first language in school. It was a lot of fun. So we should actually write tests for this now that we're factoring this out because it's a lot easier. So receive, retry. We'll attempt to read an NDP message from con until CTX is canceled or it exhausts a fixed number of retries. I don't think we really need to parameterize this. And now I press Alt-Q, and my comment gets reflowed. It is so beautiful. I love this extension. This is so cool. So to do, consider parameterizing in the future if need be. I don't really see why I would, but to do MD layer. Context was canceled, temporary or timeout. So we're going to want to test this case. So we'll write a test for that. And then we convert to the netadder. Convert to netadder IP for use elsewhere. Because netadder IP is nice. So one proposal I have seen. So for example, the thing that drives me nuts about returning structs is I have nil netattr IP struct C error. I have seen a couple of proposals for something like underscore error, and I personally would love this. I know this is a little bit contentious, but I think that this sort of syntax would be amazing, and it would make me want to use struct literals like this a lot more often versus pointers. Because like in this case, I could use like a pointer, I guess, to, well, we don't really care about performance in this case. I guess I could just, I guess I could do that. I don't know. What does this take? We'll leave it alone for now, but I would love the ability to return underscore for 0 value of something, like not caring what it is. I think that would be really nice. But that's just me. It is also kind of nice, though, because you explicitly know here, like, this is a pointer to something probably. This is a pointer. This has to be the 0 value of a struct. This is an error. It's kind of nice in that way, too. We need to move these to probably a different file. Oh, what does the select block do in your code? Yes, so select is one of my favorite things about Go. So select says that given 2 channels, or given one or more channels, I guess, whichever one fires first will be picked. So in this case, this is saying we're either going to wait until the retry has elapsed or for context done. So if we are 30 milliseconds into a 50 millisecond sleep and the context is canceled, this case will fire and this function will return. So select allows you to pick between different channels, and if both these channels happen to be ready at the same time, it will just randomly pick one. So this is one of the core concurrency primitives in Go. So channels, Go routines, in the select statement. So it's awesome. It's very useful. Do I have to worry about leaking timers with time after? Oh yeah, no problem. I'm always happy to explain stuff. Feel free to ask questions. Underlying timer is not recovered by the garbage collector until the timer fires. Yeah, I guess that's okay. So if we get context canceled and we wait 250 milliseconds and then it's garbage collected, like, who cares? Note that you can for select to wait for both channels. Oh yes, we have like an outer for loop here. But yeah, you could do a for select. That's a pretty common pattern as well. To continue waiting for channels, like to coordinate like a central like multiplexing Go routine. Select plus case is super nice for watcher events in general. Yes. Heavily used in Kubernetes operators and other stuff that relies on capturing. Yep, totally. I use select all over this code base. ctxio.go for context IO, something like that. New file with its own tests. May I ask a question? Do you think I should go for net HTTP for a new REST API or go for other frameworks? My personal opinion is use net HTTP until you find that it's no longer working for you. And even then, there are like toolkits such as, for example, like Gorilla. I know there's like the Gorilla sessions and CSRF and all those things. I know the Gorilla stuff is quite good as well. Gorilla Mux, for example. Did I say IPA? I might have. API. I think that in general, you should try and stick with net HTTP just because the broader Go ecosystem allows you to compose a lot more things in that way. Because if you pick a framework and it has like a different like handler structure, for example, you suddenly have to have middlewares for just that framework. So my recommendation is try net HTTP, see what kind of problems you run into, and then see if you can import something like a Gorilla package to fix your problems. That would be my advice. Of course, there are folks here who probably have favorite web frameworks, and that's okay too. Ultimately, do what works best for you and your team. But for me, I found that net HTTP is often sufficient. Oh yeah, no problem at all. I am always happy to answer questions. Interrupt context. Returns a function which will interrupt con when CTX is canceled. Knight of Dolemroth, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that. We've got some more good advice coming out in the chat, it looks like. So, which will interrupt con when CTX is canceled. Returns a function meant for use with error group.group.go, which will interrupt con when CTX is canceled. Should I return CTX error? No. Yes? No. We didn't before, so... Kind of miss the no frills, fast POC time with something like Rails or Django. So personally, I kind of dig Buffalo for Go web stuff. Yeah, Buffalo seems pretty cool. I think it's, it's very much trying to be like a Rails for Go. I've never tried it, but I'm interested in it, For simple APIs, simple IPAs. If you need to write some trivial thing that Rails is good for, maybe use Rails. Yeah, totally. It's really interesting. Like I wonder how many startups there are out there now that have applications written in Rails to help them get off the ground that are rewriting things in Go as they scale. This seems to be a very common pattern in the industry that I've seen, which I think is very cool. And I think ultimately, there is a place in your stack for both, right? Ultimately, Go is not as mature as something like Rails. There will be sharp edges. There will be verbosity, definitely. But do what works for you and your team. Right. Well, I guess I'm probably going to want to parameterize these retries because we're going to test this as well. So let's plumb this into both the advertiser and the monitor. So wait for context cancellation. Yep, that's still true. Receive and handle various NDP messages. Uh-oh. Monorepos. Yeah, I like monorepos a lot. I was a big proponent of the one at DigitalOcean. I worked at DigitalOcean for like 4.5 years, and we did not have a monorepo when I started there, and things were very difficult with the vendoring situation right around the Go 1, oh gosh, what was it? Maybe Go 1.2, 1.3 era, and things got a lot better when we did the monorepo. That being said, in order to have a good monorepo, you need good tools, and lots of places just don't have it, CSRF stuff is kind of a pain in Go and React. Is Ruby on Rails eases the CSRF? I'm honestly not sure. So I'm actually not really a Rails person or a JS person. I suspect there are probably folks here who are. It's kind of funny because I know CSRF is like a thing, but I frankly don't really know much about it because that's just kind of above the layer I tend to usually work. So perhaps there are other folks in here who can give some better advice. I feel like I work with angry SRE. Oh, by the way, I did want to comment. Coming from an org that has 300 microservices, each with their own repos. Yeah, that's so DigitalOcean used the monorepo. Fastly does not, and I have been advocating for my team to create a mini monorepo. So we are developing all of our new code in one little repo for our team. So that's that can tell you what I think about lots of small repos for microservices. Oh goodness, yeah, lots of conversation going on. Happy to inspire conversation. I'll have a hard time keeping up at this point, so I'll let you all go at it. I think we're gonna want to factor that out probably, but in the meantime, yes, we have this. We have the monitor as well. Spaces or tabs? Uh-oh. Get out. Leave. I should have the soundboard. Actually, my opinion on spaces or tabs is use a code formatter. The fact that Rust format uses spaces doesn't offend me one bit because there's an automatic formatter, so I don't have to care. Oh, we already implemented it here. Cool. Force any pending Reese timeout. Yes, still true. Receive and analyze incoming NDP messages. Okay. So we're probably at a good place to, I was gonna say we're at a good place to commit this, but we are not because we have no tests. So I want to write tests for that. The parts of the code I have not covered yet. So ctx.io test.go. Auto formatter is cheating. You're supposed to write your code in a text editor without any plugins and push straight to prod. Yeah, I see you worked with a couple of my former colleagues as well. Once upon a time, long time ago, I worked in a PHP shop, and I had a coworker who did not use a formatter, and his code was literally like just all over the place, like 3-space indent, 7-space indent, like not lined up, like with just SFTP to prod. It was just insanity. Like, never again, never again. I can have 1 or 2 games of ping pong while waiting for my repo to compile. Yikes. No fun. Hello? Did I not? I didn't save it. Okay. So I want to test receive retry a little bit. I want to make sure we cover this case. So let's see here. Majority of companies don't have gigabytes of code. Tech giants are not the majority, and tech giants can build proper tools. Yes, you really do need good tools for monorepo. It's frankly the only way. I've experienced that firsthand. We wrote some tools at DigitalOcean, but there was never enough focus on writing tooling, and there were pain points. So that is the reality. Chilaxathor, is that how you say that? That's a pretty cool username. Thank you so much for the follow. Hello, welcome. Let's see here. So we want to... So first we want to parallelize this test because we parallelize everything in this package. What is the... This is kind of a silly thing, but... Okay, that's fine. Do we parallelize the metrics? No, we don't. I did say it right. Awesome. Yeah, welcome. Your viewer numbers are on fire today? Yeah, I don't know what happened. I thank you all for hanging out. I really appreciate it. You know, I'm having a really good time doing this. This is something I enjoy doing. I know IPv6 is a pretty niche topic for people. I suspect there are probably lots of people here who, you know, don't care about V6 nearly as much as I do, but thank you for hanging out. Yeah, I hope I can teach you a few things. We can have a good time. You know. I'm kind of curious. Did anybody clip the moment earlier of me with the hacker hoodie on and the Hollywood program running? That'd be pretty funny to post to Twitter at some point. Soon he'll be like a tech YouTuber. I have a YouTube actually, so social selling course. I do have a YouTube. I actually found I do have a custom channel URL. I'd love to change it to MD Layer, but I think I need 100 subscribers. So if you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube, that'd be great. I want to eventually have MD Layer as my channel URL, just like everything else. But IPv6 is a niche new technology. They only recently introduced it in 1998. You're such a hipster. Yeah, totally. Oh, awesome. Used to work for a large ISP and managed to follow the IPv6 rollout for a while. It was super fun. Yeah, totally. I've had a great time learning V6. Like I think it's such cool technology. I think that things like stateless address auto configuration are so elegant. Like I can't get over it, you know. Like I want my LANs to be V6 only as soon as possible, but I don't mind running dual stack for the time being either. Excuse me. It amazes me how IPv6 is still not widely adopted outside of mobile. Yeah, it's sad. It's very sad. Cool, this interface is quite small. Should be easy to test with. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that. Do I have a test for this? I have like a mock for this already. I do not, I don't think. That's okay, I'll just write one really quick. Uh-oh. IPv6 is like good wine. You hide it in your basement. Get out. Time that man out. No, I'm kidding. IPv6 is the next thing to do on my home network. Awesome. ISP has given me V6 for a while, but I don't use it yet. Hey, whenever you set it up, if you want to run CoreRAD, it works pretty well. So please check it out. It won't be fully adopted. It's going to take IPv7. We'll see. Are you going to set up a transition layer and go V6 only on the LAN then? I have considered making a V6 only VLAN and setting up, there's all kinds of things like, what is it? Something called Joule for Linux. There is, I don't know if JonesQ is here today, but I think JonesQ had linked something in the previous stream that would have been useful as well. I want to give it a try. I actually don't mind running dual stack, to be honest, but I generally prefer to run V6 where possible. We'll see. It's something I want to experiment with, but I haven't got there yet. Yes, you can do a free V6 tile through Hurricane Electric. I did that a long time ago. And if you don't have V6 at home, that is something you can do. So that's pretty cool. V6 only LAN and run NAT64 for connecting to the legacy internet. Yeah, NAT64, DNS64, right. Yeah, I do value my dual stack for debugging as well, for sure. I think I'm not going to change to single stack for a very long time. Oh, awesome. Side note, T-minus 45 minutes for the Crew Dragon launch. Current conditions, no launch constraints. Awesome. Sweet. Thanks so much. If you all could, let me know at like, I don't know, like 3:15 maybe, 3:10, 3:15, we will switch over to the stream. So please do let me know. Please remind me. I think I've got a reminder on my phone as well, but feel free to blow up chat. Just spam the error emote until I you get my attention. Type testcon struct. And we're going to have methods with this. Yes, exactly that. Just spam that like crazy when you want me to pay attention. I feel like emote spam is a time-honored part of Twitch, right? That's why I was also hoping we could like raid somebody today, because I want to go into their chat and just spam that like crazy. So I hope that a large data bank, if he's around, I hope he turns off his Nightbot, so next time we raid him, we can... Oh, nice. Multi-stream for MD Lair and NASA. Cool. Wait, NASA streams on Twitch? Awesome. That's really sick, actually. Yeah, we'll pull that up for sure. I had no idea NASA streamed on Twitch. I thought it was just YouTube. That's sweet. I turned it off just for you. Nice. That's good to hear. Yeah, I mean, no worries. Like, I can understand if you don't want the spam, but when I send somebody a raid, like, I want my people to spam as much as possible if we can. I think that'd be pretty fun. We're going to mock these all out with functions. So read from is a func. It was just default settings. Yeah, I think I had to reconfigure Nightbot a little bit as well to make it less aggressive. Really need to get around to rolling my own router firewall. What kind of hardware do you use, though? Also has the crypto instruction set. So I'm not sure if this has the crypto instruction set, but I use the PCU Engine's APU4D4. Stoppelberg here might know about the crypto bits. I'm using this as my home router, and it works just fine. I have no problems with it. I think the CPU is a little old and weak, potentially, if you're doing like heavy crypto stuff, but seems to work okay. I think I'm currently running into a bottleneck with WireGuard, for example, on my uplink, because my upload is only 50 megabit, I believe, and not the crypto speed. If that's the kind of thing you're concerned about. Test. Okay, I'll take it. Set read deadline. Yep. Is a func. Takes a time. Yep. Crypto speed. Yeah, I'm not sure. Stoppelberg might know a little bit more than me. If you wanted to, I could potentially run some kind of tests later. If you have like some kind of like benchmark or something you'd like to see, I'd be happy to run that. Let me know. Func. Okay, so now we can swap these all out for testing. That's good. Why is this music? Oh, there we go. Yeah, I'm listening to the Fire Emblem soundtrack again today. Actually, I think I want to change it up. Let's go with Persona 5. That's an awesome soundtrack. That's a great game, by the way. If you all are interested, Persona 5 is very cool. It's a very long game, for sure, but it's awesome. All right, there we go. I don't think they have an accelerator. Maybe the APU has something. Oh, so it does have AES NI. Okay. I wasn't sure if it had AES acceleration or not, because I think the current APU generation's from like, what, 2016? And I don't remember how new the AES instructions are. Okay. Parallel, yes. So we're going to create a test con in here. And within the context of the test con, we want to test the case where we receive just fine immediately. What am I looking at? There we go. So we want context canceled. So we can test that first, actually. So context canceled. So we're going to create a function that produces a context. You can find benchmarks at, oh, nice, cool. Thank you for sharing those links. I appreciate that. Make CTX. So we're going to create a function here that creates a context. And yeah, is that what I want? We want the ability to create contexts that don't have deadlines and contexts that eventually do. So it's going to create, it's going to be a function that creates a context. So it's going to return to you a context. And it's going to return a cancellation function as well. I promise I've got an idea here. So make CTX is going to be, oh, what is it? Context with cancel. Is this going to work? Will this implement that signature? I don't think so. With background. No, it won't. So I want to wrap this slightly. So func return. What is the context for? So I'm going to be plumbing in the context because I'm going to test this logic over here. So I'm going to test the various cases here. So for example, if the context is canceled immediately, I want to make sure that read from is never called. If the context is canceled here, I want to test as many of these cases as possible. So we're going to create functions that manipulate the context in various ways. $170, dang. Yeah, it's quite cheap. I think the entire kit with like a case and everything cost me a little less than $200, and I'm so satisfied with it. Like, you know, it's been a lot more flexible for me than my Ubiquity gear at roughly the same price. So I love this box. As soon as they make one that has like a Zen CPU, I'm going to buy a new one and use this one as like my lab. Func. Yep. So let's write our first test here and I can demonstrate what I'm talking about. Let's see here. So message, control message. We're going to need those things eventually, but error. It is very well built. Yes, I'm a huge fan. It runs Core Boot too. Yeah, it's like all open source hardware, firmware. It's an amazing little box. I am extraordinarily happy with mine. It was one of the best purchases I made last year for sure. Yeah, all right, you're talking me into it. Great. Yeah, I mean, both of us run it. So if you were interested, Michael has his Router 7 project, which is a pure Go like user land. I run NixOS on mine, and I'm very happy with that. But Router 7 is an extremely cool project too. So we want to produce a context. So CTX is going to be TT make context. So we have the context in the cancellation function. So we defer canceling it. So we always need to clean up. So we call receive retry with this context and then the testcon implementation. So let's see here. Con, system con. We'll get back to this after the rocket launch too, for sure. Nixos powered router 7 when? I don't think that combination makes much sense. I just say Nixos, NixOS, Nixos. I don't know. It's one of those things where you go back and forth, like you can't decide like the way you're going to say something, you know? Con is going to be nil in this case because we should actually never call it. We want it to panic. Go Crazy has Wi-Fi, not router 7. Oh, so the router 7 started experimenting with Wi-Fi. Oh yeah, Go Crazy. Right. SQL versus SQL. Yeah, totally. I think I say SQL now. I used to say SQL for a long time, like MySQL, but I started saying SQL the past few years and it's just stuck. Or like I say SATA or SATA instead of serial or SATA, you know. Oh, need to build a new gaming PC. I tried doing some streaming with my Lenovo laptop running Pop OS, but it was hard struggle bus. Yeah, there's a couple folks in here who want to, you know, either are streaming or want to stream who are like doing it with laptops and they're having some trouble. So desktop for sure is the way to go. I'm running on a Ryzen 9 3900X, ridiculous stuff. Worth it. What was I doing? Con, right. Okay. And for now, we're going to assert the error. Yeah, we're going to unwrap. Actually, we don't need to unwrap. So errors is. So if not, errors is error. Error. So we would expect an error here that is going to be a context canceled. Error context. Oops, context canceled. MacBook 16-inch, nice. Company gave it to me. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like I thus far have managed to get away with not ever having a MacBook. I have always used Linux laptops for work. So here's hoping I don't ever have to try. T.fatal F. Unexpected error. %v. Does this work yet? Okay. Real quick. Team ThinkPad. Yeah, we have our Fastly provides us with Dell Latitudes, and they're actually not bad. I wanted a ThinkPad as well, but the Latitude is really not an awful machine at all. I'm generally pretty happy with it. Of course, I use my desktop majority of the time. Oh, we probably compete for viewers, though, usually working on networking stuff, too. Yeah, well, I mean, it'd be cool to build up a community of folks, Team ThinkPad thermal throttling. Yikes. Oh, MacBook 13, best purchase of my life, though I have to work with a Dell laptop at work because WPF dev. I thought all the Windows stuff was now cross-platform. Actually, I thought like all the .NET stuff was, but I guess I'm not sure. Test, receive, retry. I want go watch because I want to run this in a loop. Okay, we got a panic on line 57. Okay. No, that's not right. All right, I'm gonna make this shrink so I can read the stack. Oh, it is 57, but it's in context IO. Okay. Oh, I never canceled it. That's why. I'm silly. So the idea with this test is that we... Oh, we're talking about keyboards, keyboard wars now. Hey, you know what's the best keyboard? The Kinesis Advantage 2. This is the best keyboard. Oh man, I think I need to stand up shortly. I'm getting tired sitting here. Okay, perfect. So this test does what I want now. So what I was going for here is I want to test the case. My brain hurts just looking at that keyboard. It takes a few weeks to get used to. It's worth it. It's so worth it. So the case I'm trying to test here is when the context is canceled immediately. So we make a context, we cancel it immediately, and then we pass it to receive retry. We want to make sure that we exit here, which we do, before we ever invoke this read from. Because read from is nil, so it will panic. So perfect. Ergonomic. It is quite ergonomic. Thank you. I actually was having a lot of like RSI, like hand and especially elbow pain. Like even right now, my elbow's a little tingly, but it was a lot worse with a regular keyboard. And the Kinesis really has helped with that. I would highly recommend it if you are interested in that sort of thing. Oh, interesting. So .NET Core 3 supports WPF, WinForms, and UWP XAML. XAML, right? They're only for Windows. That's sad. That's a bummer. I have never done Windows development. I have always done either web dev and then Linux development now is what I do. So I've never done Linux, or I've never done Windows development professionally, that is. I did it in school very briefly, but... And actually, my friends and I, the first open source project I ever worked on was a media server with an HTTP API written in C#. That was pretty fun. And then I rewrote it in Go, kind of. And then I've been using Go ever since, so... Are there any ergonomic mechanical keyboards that are wireless? I have no idea, honestly. I think maybe one of the Microsoft like natural ones there might be wireless, but as far as like the Kinesis and stuff, these are all wired as far as I know. You could probably make a mod for your Kinesis, but I have no idea. What time are we? 2:51. Okay. I'm gonna take another quick short break. I'm gonna do the standing desk as well, so I'll be back in just a moment. All right, we're back, and we are in standing desk mode. Oh, feels good. It's kind of funny, like, I just get tired of, like, sitting around, you know? The standing desk was a good investment, for sure. If you work from home, I would highly recommend something like this. More keyboard conversations and such. Nice. I really should get the MX Master. I actually used to use the Performance MX for a long time. I now use the MX Ergo Plus, which is a trackball, and I like this a lot, but... There are some days where my thumb gets pretty sore, and I think it would be good for me to switch back and forth as far as like reducing strain. So I should get the MX Master. Aren't they up to like the number 3 now or something? Like they've been working on those for a while. Okay, you have the 3. Nice. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I haven't used a regular mouse in a long time, but So is this Whopper? Is this Whopper System 1 or WOPR System 1? Hey, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. Yeah, I love Logitech mice. It's all I've pretty much ever used, like ever since like my first computer. I did my first build in 2008. I had a, what was it, the G5? I think it was the one with the weights. It's pretty cool. Voldyman, thank you so much for the follow. Lithium, welcome back. Yeah, we got a lot of folks hanging out today. This is awesome. I'm happy folks are enjoying this, you know, for one reason or another. And also chat's just going crazy. Like I'm having a hard time keeping up sometimes. This is pretty cool. So thank you all for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Let's see here. So how much more can we get? Okay, so we got about 30 minutes to the rocket launch, a little less. Are you calling us crazy? No, I'm going crazy because, like, you know, you all wanna watch me do crazy stuff on stream. This streaming thing is way too much fun. For the past few years, I've been doing, you know, open source work and then doing things like conference talks and blog posts to try and like kind of promote it and share knowledge. But I think streaming is quickly becoming my favorite way of doing things because you can, I can just say, I want to work on this problem and just hang out with people. And there's a lot less prep work than like doing a conference talk. So. Oh, so what's GoWatch? So GoWatch is a silly little shell snippet I have. There are better tools. I just keep using this. It is that it? Yeah, that's it. So GoWatch is a silly little shell snippet I have that just runs GoTest in a loop with iNotify. So whenever a file changes in that folder, it will run GoTest with the flags I specify. So I use this a lot for just like quick iterative development, especially on stream, because that way I don't have to keep clicking back and forth and running tests. So just a silly little script. Oops. Shoot. Yeah, I know so I think that Caleb Spare has a tool called Reflex that I think is supposed to be like a better version of this. I just keep forgetting to set it up. So I should do that though. Yeah, no problem. Let me see if I can find Reflex. I'm pretty sure that's what I should start using. CE Spare. Run a command when files change. Yeah, so I think this is probably not good for me. I save the files for every character I write. Just alias GoWatch Reflex. Yeah, I should. Yeah, so this is Reflex. This is by Caleb Spare. I hear this is an awesome tool. I have not used it, but I've been meaning to. So let's see here. So print each text if it changes. Yeah. I don't want to like mess with this right now, but I will look into this for sure. I'll leave the tab open so I don't forget. Okay, so we have that case. Let's see here. Stop looking at GitHub, get to coding. Yeah, I know. I'm so distracted today. Like, chat's just going crazy, and chat's going crazy. I'm going crazy. Chat is speaking rather quickly. I think this is like by far the most like active chat we've had. Chat just won't let him code. Well, also, I know we got the rocket launch coming up, so I don't want to get like in too deep, but we should try and write some more tests for this for sure. So when the connection is blocked, we want to... That case is already covered. I think it's covered in the integration test. We should test the back off for sure. So let's see here. So we want to create a new test case. Let's see here, back off success. So we want to create a test case where the back off will succeed. And the context will not be canceled. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I guess we don't really need to inspect the return values here. We could potentially, but I don't know. Why is this panicking? Oh yeah, because I don't have the test con set up yet. Right. Okay. So the only function we need is, well, write to should never be called. So I think actually we probably want to panic in that case. For this particular code, we'll leave it unset and it will panic anyway. So I think what we want now is we want to simulate a network error. So we'll return some kind of net error. Oh, actually, I want to do errors as now, don't I? Although I think that for the Go compatibility stuff, this can't change, but that's something we should consider doing. One sec. To do Use errors as. Yep. I just realized that a good robe is a lot nicer than a hoodie. Like having a blanket wrapped around you but it doesn't fall off. Yeah. Robes are pretty nice. Back off success. Yes. So given a test con, the first read should fail and the subsequent read should succeed, I think is the goal we're going for here. So we're going to have a read from function that will return. Hey, good to see you. Spacex Launch to be awesome. Yeah, I'm excited. We're going to watch that on stream. It's going to be a lot of fun. If, let's say, you need different kind of implementation for write to for different tests, how would you do it? Yes, that's why I have it structured this way. So you'll notice here, I have it so that all of my methods call out to these functions in here, these function fields. So I can actually construct this test con and set the value of each function for each test. So in this case, I'm creating it so that whenever read from is invoked, it calls this function, but I can do different ones for every test case. So I'm doing this because it gives me the maximum flexibility. So I can have a type that implements this interface, but it actually is just calling my functions that I define for each test case. So this is exactly how I like doing this kind of thing. It makes my life a lot easier. I think for now we don't care about these values, so we're going to return nothing. Let's see here. So we need to closure. Do we want a closure here? Yeah, I think we do. So we're going to have a function that returns a function that. All right, bear with me. A func that returns a func that does this. Yeah? Yes. Yes. Return function. So we're closing over calls integer. Actually, I think I could probably make this a little easier on myself and. Well, let's go with this. It's gonna be a little crazy for now, but so we have a function here that when called will produce a function which returns this. So return nil 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 for now. Okay. Does that work? Invoke. There we go. So we are creating a closure here. So this function, when invoked, will return a function with this signature, and we are closing over the calls variable. So now, if calls equals 0, we return an error. So errors dot, what do we need? Something compatible with timeout, right? Has to be compatible with temporary. So I guess we can make our own little error here. Type timeout error struct. So it has to implement error. Okay. So the method on the timeout error string. Let's close this for now. I think I know what I need to do. Excuse me. IO timeout. So we're going to simulate what the standard library does here. And then we create more methods with these, and these are always going to return true. So timeout error. So we're fulfilling the net error interface, so we can return something that will be picked up and will work for our purposes, for back off and retry. So temporary. Yep. Right, so we have the timeout error, which is now compatible with, I want to make sure it's compatible with net error. Timeout error. So we'll return a timeout error. So assume that something failed, and then we'll return no error the next time around. Nil. Does it pass? Oh. Is it hanging? Oh, nope. What's going on here? It's running all the tests. I was like, okay. It's doing the integration test as well. That's not what I want right now. Test, what's this called? Receive, retry. Yep. Exhausted 5 retries. Okay. Right, because I am not incrementing the number. So defer func. Well, I guess I don't really need to defer. I can just do, well, yeah, I will. Defer func calls plus plus. So now every time this is called, it will increment the calls counter, which is closed over with this closure. So for the first call, we'll always return a timeout, and for subsequent calls, we return no error. So, okay. Invalid IP address. Ah, right. So this is the rest of the code now. So I need to create some like fixtures here. Defer is interesting. Yeah, it really is. It's one of my favorite features of Go, actually. It lets you, especially things like mutex unlocking, because Go encourages early returns and makes sure that you don't forget to unlock a mutex or things like that, which is incredibly useful. NDP router. So we're going to create some little fixtures here. I'm not sure if we're going to really need to do anything with these, but IPv6 control message. I love defer or close file. Yes. For closing readable files, yes. For closing writable files, I recommend doing a defer, but then also checking the error, because you need to make sure your file is actually closed to disk. So there's actually a great blog on that topic. More importantly, the defer will even unlock the mutex if something panicked. Yes, that is incredibly important. What was I? Joe Shaw, defer file. Yeah, don't defer close on writable files. So my coworker Joe wrote this blog a few years ago, and I reference it all the time. Check this out. So if you ever have a writable file in Go, you want to make sure that you don't defer close. Or you can, but you also want to check the error. So this is a good read. Yep. Okay. IP equals crtest.mustip. Oh, it creates a, yeah. Okay. We'll cheat. Okay, GG, I do it wrongly. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's an easy mistake to make. It's just that you want to make sure that you check it anyway. If error equals nil. You want to make sure that you check for it anyway. It's one of those things where it could possibly get you in trouble if you, under some circumstances. So just, it's good hygiene to check it. RACM IP, no. Oh, that var is interesting. I also don't write Go. Do you mean like this var block up here? Maybe? This is just to declare multiple variables at once. I guess I'm not sure what you're talking about, but... right, so Dominic brings up a good point. So note that just checking the close error does not guarantee the file is hit the disk successfully. Yes. Only that some other delayed errors didn't occur. The file can still be stuck in caches. Yeah. So if you really need to, you can run something like an fsync. But yeah, in general, it's just good practice to check for closing. Yeah, the var block allows you to declare multiple variables. Like, I like to use this for things that are related. So for example, these are all return parameters. So I could just do : ::::, but I kind of like this syntax for things that are related. I think it conveys nicely that they're grouped. Right, I'm gonna leave a comment on this, by the way, because this is a little wild. Maybe I should make a helper for this. I feel like we're gonna need this logic several times. Hey, Jules Dev, welcome. Yep, check out that emote. It's so silly. I love it. We also have a Gopher emote. I'm trying to move down to tier 1. I think it's gonna take Twitch a couple days, and for tier 3. So just for me for now, we have the Tux emote as well. So I will move these all down to tier 1 as soon as I can. But I wanted to get them approved with Twitch because I guess it's a lot faster for the re-upload when you move into a different tier. So it's perfect for all Go streams. That's exactly it. T-minus 15. Yep, thank you. We'll switch over fairly soon. That code is funky. Yes, it is. I'm going to comment this for sure. This is my way of closing over this calls and making it also implement this interface. So it's a little wild. We'll probably make a helper here or something. Well, I guess we could do this in a more obvious way by... I have a couple of ideas, but we'll get to it. Oh, Google rename IO. Nice. Does atomicity, and you can add durability by syncing if you want. Cool. That's good to know. So this backoff is going to succeed, and we're going to make another one. Yes, we'll dedupe this code. Don't worry. Backoff failure. Look at my pinned gist. Uh-oh. Nice. Dance.gif. Love it. It is a cute gopher. So in this case, we're going to back off continuously so we can actually remove a lot of this boilerplate. So every call here is going to time out continuously. Oops. Yeah, I need to keep that. Yep. And yes. Okay. Did I say just funny? Gwist? I don't know. I might have. The thing is, when you're streaming, is like you just don't really pay attention to like what you're saying. I'm more focused on like reading the chat, and like earlier I said, you know, what was it? IPA instead of API. Yeah, I get that one done all the time, you know. But so in this case, the backoff is going to fail. So we need to check for the retry is exhausted error. Exhausted retries. Okay, I see there's a lot of context in your code. Yes, I do, because this project relies on context to deal with cancellation, because whenever the interface state changes, there's a whole lot of things we have to tear down and set back up. So the context is plumbed through anywhere that might need to handle cancellation. Earlier today, you told us your social security number was a bit weird, but hey, streamers, man. It is worth noting, so the context is used a lot in this package because this is doing lots of long-running I.O., but if I go to, for example, the plugin package, it is not used as much because these are all short operations that are like in memory. Or the config file parsing stuff, I don't think uses context at all either. Where, yeah, none of this stuff uses context. IPA instead of API has beer posters. Yep. When I found out you can ping GIFs like that, I just had to do it. Nice. Yeah, I've got a lot of the config file parsing stuff is pretty complicated, and none of this uses context, but that's all because it's like basically in memory. So for anything long running, I like to use context these days. I hope that with Go2, assuming Go2 ever happens, we will get to that point where we have context better integrated with the standard library and such. I think I'm going to get this working really quick, and we're going to switch over to the NASA stream. So that's going to be really exciting. So error is new. Exhausted. Read retries. Or exhausted receive retries. That's fine. Spacex T-10. Yep. We'll switch over in just a sec. Error retries exhausted. We'll make a var block here too, I think. Don't use GoTo, messes up control flow. Yes, do not use GoTo. Go has it, but you probably shouldn't use it. I guess under certain circumstances, it can make the compiler generate better code for like really, really performance critical stuff. But at that point, you're probably better off writing assembly. Is a sentinel, which indicates that receive, retry, failed after exhausting its retries. Yep. Oh, so go-to sounds like go-to. I am the king of terrible jokes. I didn't even catch that. Yeah, go-to, assuming like Go language version 2, assuming that ever happens. And even then, I don't think there's still enough evidence to think that will happen, you know. Error retries exhausted. Test pass. They do. Excellent. Okay, let's pull up the NASA stream. Very exciting. One sec. Now, being able to see the rocket launch, being able to see them get into low Earth orbit, that's extraordinary. It's something you don't see every day. So I think Taryn earlier posted a multi-stream link if you wanted to do that. Yeah, very, very cool. Wow. Suddenly, you know, what I'm doing doesn't feel so significant, but yeah, awesome, awesome stuff. Oops. I got music on stream, don't I? There we go. And fixed. A little bit of Persona 5 there. I got it. Yep. Yeah. Take care, Angry SRE. Thanks for hanging out. Oh, I know Persona 5 is awesome, but I'm not putting music on stream because I just don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with the copyright stuff. So let's get back to work. So, where were we? We had a couple test cases. So we have one that will, when the context is canceled immediately, we have back off on success, back off failure. What else do we need to test? Let's see. The context cancellation in the middle. How can we simulate that? I guess we could probably use like a time after funk. Would that work? Yeah, I think so. This is going to be a little bit interesting, but let's give it a try. Back off fails. Back off succeeds. We want back off. We want an error we can't handle for sure. So let's do that first. So terminal error, because a terminal error would be some kind of error that we can't handle, we can't retry on. So something like, I don't know, connection closed. Like, we're going to make something up, but... And yes, by the way, Persona 5 has an awesome soundtrack. Would recommend. But I hear they are particularly bad about copyright enforcement, so definitely don't want to chance that. Fatal error. What's your favorite style of music? So I am generally kind of I would say rock and roll kind of person, like rock and roll, alt rock, mostly indie rock. I've recently been really into like video game music and stuff for sure. Just because like it's nice to be able to have something on in the background when you're streaming. But yeah, I would say mostly like rock and roll and like video game music. I was in band for a while, so like I played like, I played trombone. So that was pretty fun, but I've never really listened to that kind of music outside. Fatal error. Yep. You import the CDs from Japan? Nice. Yeah, Persona is so good, man. Air fatal. Yeah, I've had like Persona music stuck in my head for like, a month after not playing it. Yeah, trombone was cool. I had a really good time doing that. It's been years and years since I've played now. And also what stinks is that, so I've got like kind of cubital tunnel with my elbow, and with trombone, like you hold the mouthpiece something like this. And because that compresses your elbow, this is uncomfortable for me. So I end up having to like hold it by the bell, or it looks kind of silly, but it works. Oh, as far as like, I just looked up like Persona 5 OST on YouTube, but I don't know if I want to drop, I guess I could probably drop links for that, stuff like that, but Persona 5 OST, oops. Yeah, there's a bunch of random YouTube playlists. I'm sure you can find one. I currently have Life Will Change stuck in my head because that is one of the main themes in the game when like something crazy is going on. So I'm listening to that. Spotify, nice. Yeah, Persona has killer music. Like it's so good. Awesome instrumental music. Like it's like so upbeat. And awesome vocals too. Oh no, not at all. I don't mind links at all. No problem. OST means cheese in Swedish. Really? Persona 5 cheese. Nice. I guess we'll call this fatal instead. So fatal error. Yeah, I don't mind links in chat as long as they're not like I don't want anything that would like be against like Twitch TOS. So, or if you're like spamming like malicious stuff, but otherwise I really don't care. I'm just a streamer trying to stream. Yeah, Final Fantasy soundtracks are awesome as well. I've been meaning to play FF7 Remake. I still haven't done that because I wanted to kind of wait until there was more of the game content out. But I guess it's probably going to take them years to make the next parts, so maybe I shouldn't. The Hyper Light soundtrack. I'm actually not familiar. Is that a game? Hey, we got a couple more followers. Trolled Woods, thank you so much for the follow. Nickit? Thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. Hyperlight Drifter. Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. Okay. Yeah, I want to try and simulate this case if we can. Ambient dark synthwave stuff. Nice. That sounds cool. That sounds good. I like ambient stuff for like streaming too because it's not as distracting. Back off cancellation. So back off context cancellation is what we want to simulate. So context cancel. Cancel? Yeah. So I think what I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to try and thread it in so that we get a back off, but we cancel the context shortly after. So I will do ctx cancel. Return ctx cancel. But also time after func. So after we're waiting 50 milliseconds. So let's say like 25 milliseconds. Millisecond. We will cancel. Does that work? Unexpected error. Hey, it does work. Sweet. Let's see here. Context canceled. Awesome. I think that does exactly what I want. I'll explain in a sec. Got it. Perfect. So what I want to do here is I wanted to see what happens if we cancel the context in the middle of this backoff. So what happens is we return an error immediately. So it returns a timeout. So that will cause this to back off, and then we go into the select statement. So like we were talking about earlier, the select statement will determine like whether whichever one of these channels fires first. So whether the context is canceled or the time after, so excuse me, the sleep essentially expires. So in this case, we're kind of threading the needle. Why not with time? Oh, that's a good call. Yeah, thank you. With timeout. Good idea. Time millisecond. That is much easier. I wonder if that's like the same code under the hood. Deadline exceeded. Okay. So yeah, well, that's fine too. Context. Back off context. Deadline exceeded. Yeah, that's fine. Deadline. Yep, good call. I totally forgot about that API. Let's take a quick look and see how that's implemented. With deadline, okay. Time until. Okay. Oh, it does use time after func. Okay. So kind of a more smart version of what I just did. Perfect. I feel pretty good about. Excuse me. I feel pretty good about this now. We've got pretty good coverage elsewhere for other things. I guess we should verify that these parameters are what we would expect, perhaps on the way out, but MCM error. Well, we don't really care. I don't think it's necessary for this function. We're just inspecting the errors, really. Receive retry errors. Sweet. Let's see here. So canned data that will be returned from conread from, though we don't care about the contents for the purposes of this test. Trying to see if we can factor things out. Yeah, we can. Okay. No cancel. No cancel. No cancel. So we're just swapping out some of these function literals for smaller versions, especially the repeated ones like, no cancel. Did your IntelliSense work with Go and Visual Studio? I'm using the VS Code, the Go extension. Yes, it does. So see, works just fine. I am using the Go Please language server as well. Version 041, I think. Go Please version. You can't see that, but yeah, 041. Yep. Yeah, I like it. I've had pretty good experiences with Go Please and everything overall. I know that it can be sometimes difficult, but mine did not work. You could potentially file a bug, or I would recommend doing like a fresh install of things and like getting everything up to date, because potentially a lot has changed. But it's been working fine for me, and I don't think I've done any major work with it in a while. Have to reload the window. KMLT is so good. That does sound good. Set read deadline. So we don't even really need these other methods. I guess that's fine. We'll keep it around for now. Yeah, I could go for some tea. I only have like cheap tea available at the moment though. Maybe I'll do that though. It sounds kind of nice. The thing is with streaming is that like your throat actually gets kind of sore just from talking. And I tend to talk kind of loud and fast, so... Cheap tea is the stuff. Could factor this out a little bit. Question for my immediate interests. Oh, I want some oolong. That sounds good. Do you know of a way to graph TCP window size in a PCAP in Wireshark? I do not. I'm actually really horrible at using Wireshark. Like, I fumble my way through every single time and have to look up every filter. So, like, it's one of those things where I feel like I should learn it better. I just have not. So, my apologies. Read from error, colon equals a function, which is going to produce one of these functions. So, given an error, return a function with the signature. This is going to be another one of those like closure things. Just to tidy things up a bit more. Uh-oh. 72. Ah. Read from error, error fatal. Perfect. Read from error, timeout. Error. So you'll see we can tidy things up really nicely by using these closures and such. Oh, I think there's a window for it if you can open the menu. Okay, nice. I really should learn Wireshark better. So generally I like struct literals to be one field per line, but when there is just one field I'm populating, I don't mind kind of doing the inline thing like this. I think it's just kind of tidy that way. Yep. I'm gonna comment this for sure. This is something. Oh, let's see here. So the first call to read from will always fail with a timeout, a net error. So receive is a hard word to spell. Receive retry can back off and try again. Subsequent calls will always succeed. And reflow the comment. Beautiful. RECV, yeah, I should. I know that's like the C way and everything. I probably should just do that, but I like to spell things out if I can. Except for variable names. I'm very terse with those because that's the Go style. Just comment every line. I used to. I don't anymore. But I try and comment anything it's not obvious. Like, for example, if you saw this, like a function that returns a function with this closure stuff, like this is the kind of thing where I think it's best to document your intent, you know. I'm going to document the intent here too. So attempt to cancel the context during a backoff. During a timeout, backoff, retry to trigger the select and alternate select case. Receive retry. Or write 4 tests. I somewhat feel like they'd be more readable separately. These tests? I don't really think so. I mean, maybe. I guess like since the maybe. Since this body is pretty small. I think I'm going to leave it as is for now, but I could definitely see an argument for either way. I tend to always start with the table-driven test, and then suddenly you get these complicated like fixtures and such. I don't know. I don't think this is like too egregious, but I don't disagree with you, but I think that for now I'm just going to leave it as is. Especially because I can share some of these things. I'd have to put them in the package scope otherwise. So I think we're in a good shape to commit this now. Just want to check the coverage one more time. Oh, okay, you do the opposite way, write the test separately and then combine the tables. Makes sense. So I always start with table tests. That's just like the way I've done it in Go. But I can certainly see why you would do it the other way. I think one of the really cool things about streaming, my eyes hurt. I think one of the really cool things about streaming is that you get to have discussions and see the ways that different people think. Because I know, for example, like the way that I code versus the way that Stoppelberg codes or large data bank, you know, we all have different processes that work for us, right? Right. So I think we're in good shape to commit this. Let's close a few windows here. Let's check out the Git stuff. It's like pairing but with randos from the internet. Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, honestly, I think it's one of the coolest parts of this whole thing is like getting the chance to do this. Oh, right. I regenerated the config. Okay. I wonder if we can do this without incorporating all the monitor code. So let's try and do like a partial commit here. So we'll add the CTX IO stuff and the server. No. I think we just want the advertiser. Advertise.go. Oops. So now we have the new interrupt context function we're using. We factor that out. We have receive retry, the loop. We have the new files. I think that's actually a nice commit. So I'm going to do that. Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny, Voldy Man, because I kind of get in the habit of like building these test tables, and then I find that my test function is like, you know, 4 lines long, right? Or 3 lines long. I think that's just the way I do things, but for some of these table tests I do, it's like a lot more, yeah, it's like a lot more verbose. Thank God you're not working for NASA or General Electric. Can you clarify? Let me see if I can find a better example. Yeah, so if you have like a test that's like more complicated, like a body like this, it makes more sense, but... Oh, your commit process is to add everything and then just commit. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty disciplined about my Git commits. I try my best to make things be like one commit at a time. So something that drives me crazy is when somebody commits a... something that drives me crazy is when somebody commits a very large commit that has tons of unrelated changes. They're like, oh, well, I added this feature to your application and I fixed up all these things and did this. And it's like, I don't want that. Like, I want it one piece at a time so we can review and discuss it, you know? Less commonality between test and expected. Yeah, definitely in this case. But for some of my table tests, it's certainly justified. Where is it? I'm trying to see if I can find a better example. Yeah, this one's very small. This is just a diff statement. Luckily, I don't work with people yet. It makes bisect very difficult to deal with. Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, let's commit this. So... internal CoreRAD, split out, context-driven con IO functions. 1,000-line method. I don't think I have any 1,000-line methods in here, but... I might have 1,000-line tests. Well, at least some of the test files, like this file is probably close to 1,000 lines. No? How about this one? I'm usually pretty disciplined. Okay, this is this test file. So everything in here is 1,000 lines, but I don't believe in the 1,000-line methods. I mean, so right now I'm working with a larger font size too, but in general, I'm pretty stickler about like trying to keep your methods to like fitting on a single screen. Like even with the bigger font size right now, like the streaming font size, this all still fits in one screen. I think this is fine, you know. But I've got some functions, for example, like this parse interface. This is getting pretty long, and it's a little annoying, but at the same time, this is all related functionality, so I might refactor this, but I don't know. I have a lot larger font size now than I used to. My files are 65 characters wide, and I love it. 65, that's a weird number. I do 80. I know that's still like an antiquated view, but You probably have some refactoring to do if you have a 1,000 line method. Yes, definitely. I do 80, but I like 80 because in my normal font size, it lets me have 3 or 4 panes open at a time, which is amazing. So, I mean, even right now, if I do 80, I can have, 2 panes comfortably open and 3, like this still works pretty well, even with the streaming font size. So, I like this. I like enforcing the 80 character limit. All right, I'll enjoy your. Yeah, cool. Appreciate it. Yeah, I kind of wondered. I mean, it's only a matter of time, right? The thing is like, I know that kind of stuff is going to happen, but like, I'm not going to let it bother me because like, I know I do good work. So. Yeah, I kind of had a suspicion when I saw some of the earlier comments as well, but I don't mind banning people. So now we have all the monitoring stuff. So we have the new configuration, and then we have the plumbing it in elsewhere. So I guess we should probably commit the config changes before anything else. Uh-oh. Do we have somebody with multiple accounts? I'm wondering here. I guess we'll find out, huh? Oh, you just saw crew dragging the sky. Oh, you're not trolling. Wow, no kidding. Did you really? Did you get a picture? Because that would be sick. I read cred to dragon, and I was like, what is this? That's awesome. In Budapest, nice. Yeah, feel free to drop a link. Although I'm always curious if somebody's going to post a real picture or not. Could be anything on the internet. Yeah, let's confit. Confit, isn't that like some kind of cooking term? Like, I have no idea. Duck confit. They always say that in Food Network. As long as it's not a jump scare. Yeah, that's the thing is like with the internet, like I've been around long enough where you never really know, Open an incognito time. Yep. If it is a picture of Crew Dragon, though, that'd be pretty sick. Yep. Excellent. Internal config, support for monitor. Add monitor configuration. Yes. Push. We should probably check the CI stuff. I haven't checked in quite a while. One sec. That was the wrong scene. My bad. And let's close a couple more windows. Okay, there we go. Yeah, let's check CI. So I actually moved a couple things to GitHub Actions earlier today. I had been meaning to for quite a while, and I'm glad I finally did. So it is building. Okay, well, the last one passed. That's good. So I have this bad habit of like not paying attention to CI. Like I'll just let a build fail for like, a while and just totally forget about it. 3 hours already, huh? Let's see if we can integrate some more of this monitoring stuff. I mean, of course, the Spacex launch kind of distracted us a little bit for like, I don't know, what was that, like half an hour? Let's take a look at the server again. What am I looking for? To find a way to reasonably test this. Yeah, I think this is like the one part of like the server code that doesn't have coverage is the part that actually spins up these Go routines. Yeah. a little embarrassed by this, but like having to set up all this infrastructure is just a pain. So is that Giles Fabio or Gilles Fabio? I'm sorry. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Giles? I'm not sure how to pronounce that with two L's. Giles? Giles Fabio? Yep, still applies. Subscribe to events. Excellent. Advertise. Yep. Monitor. Yep. Okay, these are mutually exclusive. We enforce that here. Interface is not advertising or monitoring. The config enforces the mutual exclusion. So if the interface is advertising, I guess I probably could do else if. Like, I kind of hate else if, but let's do a switch. I can't stand else. Like, for some reason, it just drives me nuts. Like, I would much rather just use a switch in every single case. Advertise. Let's go full screen for a little bit. Turn off the coverage. I wonder if we can refactor. These take the same arguments, actually. Can we factor these out? They both have a function. Same, I almost never use else if and go. Yeah, I feel like it's gross, especially because go's switch is so flexible. That's just, I know that's it's one of those things where like I won't enforce that other people do it necessarily, but I, in my own code, like pretty much I'll disallow the use of else, like just on principle. And we will add a good old panic down here because this would mean that something is obviously broken in my code. So panic, CoreRAD. Server attempted. Do I have panic F in this package? I do. Server interface %q is not advertising or monitoring. This would mean an obvious logic bug in my code, so I definitely want to catch this. iFace name. Excellent. So if you're advertising, you do this. Do I really need this outside the Go routine? I do not. Small scopes. Small scopes are good. Oh, there's a Datadog outage, huh? Interesting. I'm glad I run Prometheus. Just for my home stuff, but... Begin monitoring on this interface until this context is canceled. Yep. And Stripe, really? Wow. Interesting. Oh, the CA expired. Yikes. That's brutal. Of course. I'm glad I use Let's Encrypt for all my stuff. Didn't I hear there was like some big certificate like expiring today? Like one of the really, really old TLS certs or something? I don't remember exactly what that news was, but... People sending the cross-signed CA route when it wasn't needed. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. There we go. So I have to go Komodo. Okay. That's rough. I mean, I guess that's life, you know, but let's see what happens now. It's been a while since we've run this. There we go. So we have the monitor and we have the advertiser as well. Excellent. So our code works even after all that refactoring. You know, we spent like all day writing that little bit of code. That is what it is. So now, did we add the monitor yet? No, we did not. I want to write some tests for this for sure. This is actually going to need very similar test infrastructure to the advertiser, so that's going to be a pain. I think I probably won't write the test for this on stream because it's going to be a mess, but I just stare at my code ideas. You're doing better. Yeah, well, thank you. I'm running low on water. I'm going to go refill just a sec. Okay, we're back. So I think we're probably going to wrap the stream today in about 45-ish minutes. So right around like 5 p.m. US Eastern. Seems like a good time to stop. Whew. Excuse me. we want to factor out a couple of these things here, actually. So we have some common code shared in these constructors. And I wanted to factor these out anyway. So, well, maybe if they're nil. I think the problem is here is I have some assumptions that, like, by default we manipulate the system instead of, like, well, I feel like this should probably be more explicit. So we have the system dialer and the system state. Hi everyone, welcome Parset. Cool stream, thank you, appreciate it. We're kind of in the weeds today, working on basically duplicating out a part of my code and then fixing the duplication. So how do I want to do this? I feel like I want these dependencies to be explicit instead of these defaults. So you have to pass a dialer and you have to pass a state. All right, let's start doing that, I guess, and see what happens, because that way we can configure it all in the elsewhere. I think that would be nice. So it's not duplicate code, it's a ninja cloning technique. Yeah, something like that. Starting to wonder if I should make a struct here. These argument lists are getting pretty long. System dialer and a state, which is a system state interface. Yep. A logger. So for now, I think we're going to reflow this so it's one argument per line. When I get to this point, I usually know that I need a struct, but I'm not sure how I feel yet about making this a struct because it would be slightly different both these types. So we can actually just copy the same ideas over here. Except this is also going to have the config parameter, which I just removed. Oops. Logger and metrics as arguments. Yeah, so I believe pretty strongly that there should be no globals in your code. So I always explicitly pass loggers, and if they're nil, I silence them. And I pass metrics too, so that way you can actually have a metrics registry that's testable. So it makes it more work, but it's worth the trouble. I want a keyboard shortcut for folding and unfolding arguments. That would be nice. There's a plugin for that. You should make that a chat rule. No globals. Wow. That was quite a cough. Like, coughed inward. Oh, nice. You're learning Go and you have a question. Why would I use ampersand for client? So the ampersand indicates a pointer to something. So in order to understand the ampersand, you need to understand pointers a little bit. I think let's see here. Go. So I've got some links here that might be useful, perhaps. You definitely are going to want to understand what pointers are in Go. It's like an important part of like how interfaces work and everything too. The metric publisher doesn't modify code behavior, right? No, but in this case, I'm able to create metrics and like pass in metrics for. So, for example, if I were to run like the advertiser and the monitor concurrently, I could pass in either the same metrics registry for both or separate ones if I really wanted to. I'm not forced to share state, so that's why I like doing it this way. I have one global in my current project. I am truly sorry, really sorry. That's funny. It's okay. I mean, do whatever you want, but I just don't believe in globals. Config, interface, right? Something like that. CFG. Yeah, I'm a stickler. I've been doing Go for a long time. Even one metric object per module. I mean, you could do that. Like, the thing is, though, is that like as soon as you introduce like package level state, it makes your tests more difficult. So the fact that I can run all my tests in parallel and possibly examine metrics in different places only works because I have separate metrics registries for every single thing, and because I explicitly instantiate them. So if you had tests that tested your entire module all at once, you might be okay. But in my particular case, I don't think that would work. So I just wire everything up and then pass it in explicitly. So I think I take a more hardline stance on this than most, but I think that it's worth the trouble. Interesting perspective. Yeah, I mean, that's what's cool about doing this, right? Is that like we get to hear different perspectives and different arguments. Yeah, I know like a lot of the Prometheus patterns are like to pass around like a global registry or just use a global registry. I don't like that. Don't want to do it, you know. Oh, I know it's a pointer, but why would one want to use the pointer instead of the value because of the passing? I think pointer to HTTP client is just the canonical way of using it. Why would you want a pointer to one? I guess to make sure you don't make a copy of it, because like some of the fields in there probably can't be copied. So if you pass a pointer, you will copy the pointer versus the value pointed at. So if you pass the HTTP client between different functions, you'd actually be making a copy of it, which could potentially be tricky as well. So probably the pointer is what you want by default. I generally will do pointers to structs by default too, unless I'm not worried about making copies. Pointers are great. Yes, pointers are great. Understanding pointers really helped me, understand code a lot better, I think. Understand machines a lot better. How about metrics as part of the context? I don't like that either, because then you're stuffing things... Logging, yeah. I don't like that either, because then you're stuffing data in the context that is not necessarily request scoped, and it also hides things, right? So if you get your context, it's this bag of values, like, what else could be in there? You might have like a database connection, a logger, metrics, like, and the fact that you have to do the interface, like typecasting and stuff, I just don't like it. I think the only thing you should store in a context is possibly like a trace ID, like an opaque string that could be used for like a tracing system like Jaeger, or open tracing. That's my personal opinion. What font is this? Whatever the VS Code default is. One sec. Settings. I'm pretty sure it's monospace. I don't think I have either of these installed. I don't think I have Droid Sans Mono installed, so I'm using the VS Code defaults on Linux. I need to factor these out, right? Context also really doesn't scale well, as it's a linked list that needs to be traversed in its entirety to check for items which don't exist. Yes, that's a good reason. System, dialer. Dialer is per interface. State is global. Right, okay. And by global, I mean shared with every interface. And I can appreciate the concern for performance there, but that's almost never the reason that I look at for making these kinds of decisions. I think that performance is something you should consider, definitely, but I tend to not get hung up on it. Like, I will write code that works and then go back and make it faster once I have like benchmarks and stuff that prove it's a problem, I was having a conversation with someone where they were trying to remove like pointer dereferences or something from like a MySQL thing. And it's like, look, you're querying MySQL over the network. Like, your network latency is going to be infinitely more than this pointer dereference. Like, what are you doing? What's the point? But I recognize that there are people who really, really care about efficiency too, and that's a respectable cause. I just don't care as much. I think it's important to think about performance when designing the higher level systems, though, because it's hard to change once it's laid in place. Yeah, totally. I'm not saying you should write like horribly inefficient code, but I think that you should. I'm not saying you should write like inefficient code, but like you should write the simplest code that works, right? And then make it as fast as possible later on. Would be my bet. It would be nice to have a query struct with metrics and logging put in place first. Yeah, totally. I think I might end up doing something like that here because we've got duplication between the monitor and the advertiser. I'm just not doing it right now. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up like building a struct here that has like those things like kind of carried around. Simple code is good code. Yes, I agree. That's kind of the philosophy I live by. Instrumentation trace, log, add count. So I kind of have like a metrics wrapper too. So like I have this this metrics type. And so I actually created my own package I call metrics light, which is kind of a very, very lightweight version of very lightweight, very opinionated, like wrapper around like the Prometheus client and such. And these are all just functions. So I just say last multicast time, invoke this function, pass it the current value in the labels, and I'm done. So the way that that's used is something like, let's see here. We have an advertiser for sure. Where is this used? Something like this, right? So the advertiser, the metrics node. So I use LL for a local logger and MM because it kind of flows nicely after LL. Messages received invalid total, the interface name. And this is a counter, so it always increments by 1. And I pass the labels and I'm done. So this is the way I like to carry my metrics around. Yep, so these are exclusive. We documented that several times, so we definitely want to panic. Passing the dialer, passing the state. Okay, so now we can remove the defaults, and then we got to fix the test probably, but... Dialer, state. Excuse me. It's kind of funny here because we're ending up with like structs that look, or parameters that look an awful lot like these structs themselves. So yeah, there's definitely some room for some kind of intermediate struct here, I think. Some kind of like server component or something like that. Yep. All right, persona. I think I need something else. Okay. Let's see. What else do I want to do? I guess, does this even compile? It's been a while since we've looked at this, right? Shoot. Did we stage anything? No, we have not. Okay. Internal CoreRAD. Yes, I use the standing desk. I'm standing right now. Go doesn't have the thing where iFace can be written as iFace. No, it does not. So you can choose to do it that way. So for example, I could remove all of these. But then the problem is I have to specify every single field in the struct literal. And in the case of monitor, that's fine. But in the case of advertiser, I have this additional field. I always use keyed literals because it's just easier to comprehend, I think. But yes, in this particular case, it's not necessary. So I actually do have one sec. Is this the link? Specs? Yeah, there you go. So if you check that link, that'll show you maybe setup is another thing we want to. Yes, Go does the ordering of the structure without field names. Yeah, so if in the case of monitor, it would work fine. But in the case of advertiser, I would have to pass a function with this signature. Yep, yeah, Rust is where that idiom comes from for me as well. Like you can omit the name. So for example, like this could be config, but then you could have like LL. Like I like that Rust can do that, but Go cannot do that. Voldyman Stoltenberg streamed earlier today, actually. He streamed about 3 hours before me and then sent me a raid. So unfortunately, you missed it this time around. I'm not sure if he's streaming it tomorrow. He might be. Not enough calls. Yeah, we got to fix the tests. Okay. Yep. Let's see here. So we talked about earlier a little bit. The tests are something for sure. They're a lot, but let's clean up a little bit. State and then the dialer, which has to be a system dialer, I think. Logger state dialer. Okay. Shoot. That's not what I wanted. Oh, that streams next weekend. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I was debating if I wanted to take tomorrow off. I feel like I haven't taken like a day completely off of computers in quite a while, but we'll see. I haven't decided yet. I think right now I'm planning on streaming tomorrow, but if I wake up tomorrow and just not feeling it, then I won't. So we'll see. And then the test state gets passed directly as well now. What's the parameter order? Dialer and then state. Okay. Yeah, this is a little gross. Oh, I need the test state. Yeah, okay. TS colon equals. Ooh. Where did SC come from? Oh, gosh. Yeah. I need to create these sooner. SCCC. Fun. Yeah, this is the test infrastructure for this. I'm working on the portion right now that talks UDP. It can simulate the neighbor discovery stuff over UDP instead of ICMPv6 because that way you can run the test without root or capabilities, which is nice. So does that work? Okay, seems to compile at least. Yeah, I'm not thrilled with a lot of this stuff, but it is what it is. I don't know. There's room for cleanup, you know. It's just gotten complicated over time. It's unfortunate. But when you're setting up something that like sends and receives neighbor or router advertisement messages, it gets a little more complex. And this is just the simulated one. The non-simulated version, excuse me, is a lot more dense because it actually spins up like VETH pairs and such too. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So here I think we were relying on the implicit behavior before, so now we actually want an advertiser that uses the real versions of everything. So yep. Dialer and state. So system dialer specified logger. I feel like I should just I should factor this out. Share the logger. And then pass the name of the router interface. Yep. What happened here? It's not what I wanted. System state. Because in this case, we actually are manipulating the system global kernel state. 799. Oh, it compiles. Hey, it passed. The test passed. Wow. That's looking like it's passing to me. Wow, okay. Interesting to see testing. How do you mock out network calls and stuff like that? So in general, I try not to mock out network calls. So in this case, I'm actually spinning up like literally like virtual network pairs and like pointing network interfaces at each other. And if you're doing like a web server, I recommend testing the web server using net HTTP tests is very useful. But if you have a dependency that's particularly complicated, you would create like an interface essentially and just swap out the data you need. I actually did a stream just recently with my Keylight package where I made a package for the Elgato Keylight, and I think I did some pretty good testing in that package. So I'm gonna send you a link. I'll drop a link in the chat. Check this out. Check out some of the tests in here. I think these are a lot more approachable than the tests in CoreRAD. These are like really, really dense. Let's say that. Yeah, ideally you don't want to swap out everything with an interface unless you have to, but there are certain things that are just like too difficult otherwise. So. But yeah, interfaces are very useful for tests for sure. You just want to try and keep your interface as small and focused as possible. Like if you have an interface that has more than like a handful of methods, you probably have the wrong abstraction. I've seen when people write web clients and they expose like an interface type and their web client has 50 methods and like they have the real client and the mock client and it's just like, no, you're mocking out the wrong layer, you know? It's not worth it. Go watch. Ideally, if you're running a library, you don't actually want to expose interfaces at all. You want your callers to, or you want to expose concrete types so that way your callers can choose whether or not they want to make an interface around your thing. That is the most flexible way. So that's what I recommend. True. Yeah, it's just one of those things that like you'll kind of figure out as you write enough Go. That's the Go way. Yep. We're going to need tests for monitor for sure. For sure, good suggestion. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, if your thing has 50 methods, I don't want to have to implement 50 methods to swap it out. That's just insanity. This has no tests yet, yeah. Great. Yeah, we're going to have to copy the advertiser stuff for this for sure. I don't really want to do that today. I think probably what we're going to try and do now is maybe get a metric going and then wrap stream pretty soon. Hey, Off the Band, thank you for hanging out. Catch you later. I appreciate it. So these metrics are per advertiser. Yep, so we already have a sufficient division, I think. Per monitor metrics. What do we want to analyze here? So the number of received messages. So messages received total as well, but it's not for the advertiser perspective, it's the monitor perspective. Because the advertiser is looking for things like router solicitations mostly, but the monitor is just looking for any kind of message at all. I think. We're going to create a new metric for now. There's probably some room for some deduplication in here, but we're going to create a new one for the time being. So monitor messages received total. Put it down after errors. This is my metrics light package. I basically, in frustration of kind of the verbosity and some of the API surface of the Prometheus package. To clarify, I work on the Prometheus team. I am a member, but I think that there is room for improvement in the client, and I wanted to create a client that is my idea of what you really needed with metrics. So very, very minimal counters and gauges so far, going to add things like histograms shortly, but it's also very testable. Like you can actually swap out the Prometheus interface with an in-memory interface, which will give you all the time series in the form of like a map. So that's very useful. So perhaps I'll show that off a little bit, but if this is a counter, this is going to be monitor messages received total on a monitor interface. Interface message. Yep. Okay. So I can use this, for example, like the whole reason I'm doing this is because I don't want to, send router advertisements to Charter. That doesn't make any sense. I just want to listen and see what they're sending me so I can possibly alert on it if need be. So it seems like a logical extension of this tool to be able to deal with other neighbor discovery traffic as well. So I thought this was a good idea, and I want to be able to write Prometheus alerts that will let me know if something is broken. Oh boy, what did I miss? Nothing. Okay, cool. Okay, so now that we have a message here, let's increment the metric. So we have a message, we have the interface that received it. Yeah. So M, the metrics node, monitor messages received total, is going to take the labels. So labels are the interface's name, easy enough. M, iFace, and the message. The type of the message, that is. So message type string. I think that's what I have. I think this will actually factor things out appropriately. So now we should have a new metric registered with Prometheus that whenever we receive a message, the monitor will increment its metrics as well. Let's give that a go. Let's switch to, should we do full screen? Yeah, probably should. Okay. So real quick, oops. Okay. Make. And we're going to run this again, and we're going to, so this will now have the new metric instantiated. Okay. Curl -s localhost 9430 metrics grep for CoreRAD monitor. There we go. So you can see that now our monitor interface is receiving messages on CRAD vth1 of type router advertisement. So already we have something that's useful here because we can use these to determine when the last router advertisement was sent and do an alert, like, for example, if we don't get a router advertisement in a certain amount of time. And what else we're going to do with this is we're going to expose the other fields. So things like the how long that router should be considered a default router, and etc. So already works. Pretty cool. So what else do we care about here? We'll probably want to pick apart some of the The host that sent it. Do we want to have a label for the host that sent the messages? I mean, this would be pretty. I'm worried about the cardinality, but I guess in theory, if you're using this on an uplink, I still have no idea what your code does, but I'm glad it works. So I guess in a nutshell, this software is providing IPv6 connectivity to my house. So it is running on my router. It is taking the IPv6 configuration from my ISP and distributing it to all the machines on my network. So the fact that I'm able to use the IPv6 internet right now, so this works because of CoreRAD running on my router. So this is how IPv6 machines find their default route out of the network, and also how I'm configuring addresses dynamically. So pretty cool stuff. But yeah, certainly this is the kind of layer in the networking stack where people don't really deal with it every day. But I think this is the most fun stuff to write, you know? Let's see. Yeah, totally. I mean, I think the low-level networking stuff is really interesting. Like, that's kind of where that's just my specialty, you know? Some network engineering shit. Yeah, pretty much. I also just got a glimpse of it, but I enjoy and learn some Go. Excellent. Hey, I mean, that's what I'm here for, right? I think what's cool about these streams is, like, you don't have to be an expert in anything. You know, like, I'm happy to explain everything if I can. Never done much networking. You want to try it out some more eventually? Yeah, totally. I mean, I think for me, I fell in love with networking when I realized that you could set up like BSD sockets in C and like talk between two machines. Like when I realized the power of that, I kind of fell in love with networking as like a concept. And then a few years later, I started learning about things like Ethernet frames and how IP fits together. You know, things like DHCP and TCP versus UDP and all these properties. And I think it's all really useful knowledge, you know? So I would recommend it. Some of these metrics are like duplicated. We might want to change these. I started to hate networking after I got C on it. Oh, a C in class, perhaps? I thought you were talking about like a C program. Do you know of a library to control read Linux Wi-Fi info? Yes, actually, I wrote one that does like kind of the basics. So, one sec. So this is what Stoppelberg is going to be using in his code as well. But MD layer Wi-Fi, to be fair here, yeah, 2600::is sprint.net. It's the most easily memorable IPv6 address for sure. So MD layer Wi-Fi is a very old code. I think it needs a rework, but this can fetch information on Linux, such as the current SSID you're connected to, the frequency, the beacon interval, when the last time you saw it was. Yep, excellent. I'm glad you're using it. Yes, this library exposes some of the Wi-Fi info. You want to scan channels being used by other networks. Yeah, you could totally do that. So assuming that is something that NL 802.11 can do, that should work just fine. This library needs a lot of work. It basically kind of needs like a redo. But yeah. It's the kind of thing where I built it and then I got distracted in other projects and such. But if you know more about Wi-Fi than I do, I would love contributions. And I'm probably just going to give Michael push access and let him kind of take this wherever he wants it to go. So. Yeah, no problem. I'm glad that's useful. Wi-Fi is a very big problem space, so I can't guarantee completeness, but I hope it is useful for you in some way. Yeah, I have no qualms with totally burning the API down. I tried to build it in a way that a potential cross-platform API could exist, but nobody has ever expressed any interest in doing that, so I think it should just be an NL 802.11 wrapper, basically. I think that's probably the best way to do it. And of course, I can provide hints with like the netlink stuff, but as far as like the semantics of the interface, I have no idea. I know netlink, I don't know NL 802.11. You know, we're coming up in like 3:45. We got this working. I think this is probably a good place to wrap up the stream. Does anybody have any questions? We had a lot of folks in here today. I was very happy about that. Things are dwindling down now, but yeah, I'm getting a bit of a headache. I want some food, so this is probably a good time to chill. So I'm curious if anybody has any questions, comments, etc. Otherwise, let's see. Good luck with your headache. Yeah, no problem. I'll be fine. I don't get headaches very often. Just like I just slept badly last night, you know. I'll keep working on this. I'll get this push, but I'm not happy with it yet. It needs tests. So, yeah, cool. So I think what we're gonna do now is, well, I was hoping to raid Terran, but Terran's not gonna stream today because I guess he's building a desktop. So I don't see anybody streaming on my follow list. You need to sleep, fits well. Nice. Have a good evening. I don't see anybody on my follow list at the moment, so I think I am probably going to send you all over to one of my Mario streamers. So Laser Belch is a super cool guy who is playing some Super Mario World. So Kaizo Mario World Hex. So crazy Mario World stuff that's like very, very advanced. So that should be pretty cool. So I think I'll send you all over to Laser Belch in just a sec here. Let me, 1 sec. I want to get in there before the raid so I can actually like participate in it. It's it's really weird because like as the streamer, like Twitch makes it difficult to like, it makes it difficult for me to like participate in the chat as well. So I want to hop over into his chat. Yeah, okay, he's playing Super Butt World 2. I have no idea what this is, but it's a Kaizo Mario hack. It should be fun. So I'm gonna send you all over to Laser Belch. So yeah, thank you all for hanging out so much. This has been a blast. Thank you all. It's been a great time. I'm gonna get some rest. I'm gonna go watch Laser Belch. So I will see you all later. See ya.